Chapter 1399. Lin Xian shook his head coldly. Kneel down and kowtow 10 times, and I'll consider keeping you as my slaves. Otherwise you'll die. What? Kid, you're courting death. The malicious spirit hall master looked ferocious. The other 2 hall masters also looked terrible, and their eyes were filled with killing intent. Kowtow 10 times? Become slaves? What a joke. Although they couldn't defeat him, they wouldn't accept such a condition. Kid, don't be so arrogant. If you push me too far, we'll fight to the death. Even if we die together, I won't agree to your request. Black Wind Venerable snorted. Don't talk nonsense with him. Let's fight. Then the 3 of them quickly burned their spiritual energy and released a powerful aura, raising their combat strength to the peak of LV9. This was the secret technique of the Black Dragon sect, which could increase their strength in times of crisis to save their lives. However, after that they would suffer a serious backlash. But in the face of danger they couldn't care less about that. They had to kill Lin Xian first. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. The 3 of them greatly increased their strength to the peak of LV9 and surrounded Lin Xian. King of Ghosts. Malicious Spirit Venerable shouted and quickly waved the white bone staff in his hand. Suddenly, countless ghosts and vengeful spirits rushed out and formed a Ghost King. Earth-destroying spear. Black Wind Venerable roared and the long spear in his hand rushed out like a raging dragon. Roar slash. Pink Venerable also pulled out a treasured sword, held it in her hand and quickly slashed out 18 times. The terrifying sword radiance was terrifying. The 3 hall masters burned their spiritual energy and attacked without thinking of the consequences, releasing an unparalleled power. Lin Xian snorted and quickly activated the astral armor. Suddenly, a set of blue armor appeared and covered his body, revealing only a pair of cold eyes. His palms kept changing as he shouted, 9 changes of the firmament, 9-headed snakelet transformation. The void fluctuated and a huge monster rose from the ground. This monster was extremely terrifying. It had 9 heads and each of them was extremely ferocious. It was as if the Demon King was reborn. Ancient vicious beast, 9-headed snakelet. It was extremely brutal. This was the 5th transformation of the 9 transformations of the firmament. At this moment it was executed by Lin Xian. It could be said to be extremely terrifying. The 9-headed snakelet swung its 9 gigantic heads, and 3 of them roared angrily, spewing out flames, lightning and hailstones. Immediately they bombarded the attacks of the 3 hall masters in the sky. Rumble. The void trembled as energy exploded. Violent energy swept out in all directions. This energy was too violent. Even the hall master found it hard to resist. Instantly the 3 hall masters were blasted back. Lin Xian, on the other hand, remained as still as a mountain. He activated the cosmic battle armor to the extreme. This battle armor could defend against 7 layers of damage. Therefore, even if this energy was violent, he could still withstand it. Jianghu. Lin Xian's body moved like lightning. He controlled the huge 9-headed snakelet and quickly counterattacked. Immediately the other 3 heads roared ferociously and turned into demonic hands, biting toward the 3 hall masters. The 3 heads moved as fast as lightning and appeared in front of the hall master in an instant. They opened their bloody mouths and their sharp teeth bit through the hall master's armor. No, I won't die. Damn it, get out of my way. Brat, you dare to kill me? The pink aristocratic family will not let you off. Shrill screams rang out. However, in the next moment, the bodies of the 3 hall masters suddenly split open and were bitten into countless pieces. At this point, the 7 supreme talents and 6 hall masters were completely annihilated. Not a single one of them survived. What? They're all dead. Impossible, I don't believe it. Below, the martial artists of the Black Dragon sect were horrified and filled with despair. 6 hall masters. Including the Shura hall master and the Southern Wasteland city master, there were 8 hall masters in total. They were the most solid force of the Black Dragon sect. However, at this moment they had been completely annihilated. This was definitely going to pierce through the heavens. The Black Dragon sect would definitely be infuriated and retaliate crazily. However, Lin Xian did not care about this at all. He stood in the sky and looked down at the martial artists of the Black Dragon sect who were escaping. His face was extremely cold. After which, he activated his ice martial soul. Countless cold air spread out and quickly shrouded the area below. Ka. Below, the southern wilderness ancient town quickly formed ice. In an instant, a frozen ancient town was formed, freezing all the buildings and martial artists inside. In the next moment, Lin Xian called out to Murong Qingqing, the falling ice mountain, and the dark red divine dragon. The group flew into the sky. Only the ancient town of ice was left, shining with a cold light under the sun. Soon Lin Xian and the group left the place and arrived at the spirit ship high in the sky. Next, the dark red divine dragon drove the spirit ship and left the southern wilderness ancient town. Lin Xian rested for a day. On the second day he took out the blood soul stone and quickly absorbed it to increase his blood chi and soul power. This time he had killed so many hall masters and martial artists of the Black Dragon sect. The Black Dragon sect would definitely go crazy and hunt them down. Therefore he had to increase his strength to deal with the danger when the time came. The others were fine, but the Black Dragon sect's leader was a king. He was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian thought as he absorbed the blood soul stone. This blood soul stone was extremely mysterious. Lin Xian held it in his hand and absorbed it continuously. The blood chi in his body was tumbling like a big furnace, emitting rumbling sounds. Even outside the room there was a red light shining. That was the sign of Lin Xian's vigorous blood chi. His soul power was also increasing bit by bit. He tried the sixth diagram of the sky spill visualization diagram. Although he did not succeed, there was a huge improvement compared to before. After cultivating for a day, Lin Xian adjusted his condition to the peak. Then he called the dark red divine dragon Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan over. The four sat together. Then Lin Xian took out the three mysterious crystals he had obtained. Look, do you recognize this thing? Murong Qingqing, the dark red divine dragon, and Luo Bingshan were very curious. Each of them picked up a mysterious crystal and carefully examined it. What rich energy! The dark red divine dragon's eyes lit up. His mouth was smiling from ear to ear. Murong Qingqing was also surprised. No wonder those people's cultivation could increase so much. It seemed that this mysterious crystal was indeed extraordinary. It actually contained such rich energy. Luo Bingshan was also moved. She thought carefully for a moment, then shook her head slightly. I've never seen this thing before. Moreover, it shouldn't be in the Jianghu continent. Otherwise it would have been discovered long ago. Kid, you have three. Why don't you give them all to me? An Hong was reluctant to let go. You dare to absorb this energy? Aren't you afraid of the side effects? Lin Xian asked. Didn't you say that if you found these mysterious crystals, you would be able to unlock the secret of the demon abyss? Hearing this, the dark red divine dragon pondered for a moment and said slowly, these mysterious crystals shouldn't have been taken from the demon abyss. They were man-made. What? You said they were man-made? What's with the demon abyss? Chapter 1400. Kid, let's put it this way. I've heard of this crystal before. It's called the Subdivine Crystal. It contains a terrifying amount of energy, but it's only for people above the King Realm. The Subdivine Crystal is very magical. It can strengthen the King Realm and make it evolve. That's why it's so precious. And this mysterious crystal has very little energy. It's obviously diluted. So, I guess that the Black Dragon sect must have obtained the Subdivine Crystal. But they used the Subdivine Crystal to create countless energy crystals, which are the stones in your hands. These stones are useless to King Realm people, but if people below the King Realm absorb them, they can greatly increase their cultivation. That's why there are so many sovereigns in the Black Dragon sect. So, you're saying that the treasure in the Devil Abyss is the Subdivine Crystal? Lin Xian asked. That's right. It's definitely the Subdivine Crystal. The Subdivine Crystal could increase the King Realm. If this news were to spread to the Jianghu continent, it would definitely make the King Realm families go crazy. Lin Xian was shocked. Then he frowned. If the Black Dragon sect's leader obtained the Subdivine Crystal, wouldn't his strength increase greatly? No, he had to enter the Devil Abyss and obtain the Subdivine Crystal. At least he couldn't let the Black Dragon sect get this precious thing. Then, if I absorb the energy in the crystal now, will there be any side effects? Lin Xian asked. If there wasn't, he could directly absorb it and increase his cultivation again. He was looking forward to it. He wondered how much he could increase after absorbing it. However, the dark red divine dragon poured cold water on him. There are side effects. What did you say? Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. You still dare to absorb it? The dark red divine dragon snorted. Kid, I'm different from you. I'm a real King Realm. It's just that my cultivation has dropped, but my realm is still there. But you're different. No matter how strong you are, you're just a sovereign. You've never condensed a domain. Let me tell you. If you absorb the energy of the Subdivine Crystal, although it can greatly increase the cultivation of people below the King Realm, their path will come to an end. because they'll never be able to condense a king realm again in their lifetime. What? How could such a thing happen? Lin Xian was shocked, and Murong Qingqing also threw away the mysterious crystal in her hand. You don't have to be surprised. This kind of crystal is meant for kings to use. Anyone below the king level won't benefit from using it. Although one's cultivation base will immediately rise greatly after absorbing it, one's martial path will be severed. I can guarantee that after absorbing it, your strength will definitely increase greatly. However, you will never be able to condense a king's domain in this lifetime, let alone reach a higher level. Hearing this, Lin Xian fell silent. This was not what he wanted. At this moment, the dark red dragon spoke again, but you don't have to be too discouraged. Although you won't be able to use it for the time being, you can keep it for now and use it after you become kings. Then everything will be fine. However, it isn't very effective against King Realm experts. But if it's a true subdivine crystal, then King Realm experts would definitely go mad upon seeing it. So, we have to make a trip to the Devil Abyss. Lin Xian took a deep breath. For the sake of attaining the King Realm in the future, he had to make a trip to the Devil Abyss now. After all, the Martial Sky continent didn't have such a thing, and other places might not have it. It could be said that they were extremely lucky to have encountered it. Let's go to the Devil Abyss. Lin Xian tossed the 3 mysterious crystals to the dark red dragon to recover. He couldn't absorb it now and he wouldn't need it even after he became a king. So he wouldn't keep it. If he wanted to keep it, then he would keep the true subdivine crystals and not these diluted crystals. After that, their group set off towards the Devil Abyss once more. The death of the 7 Hall Masters wasn't a small matter, so it wasn't long before the Black Dragon sect found out about it. For a time, the entire Black Dragon sect was shaken, and countless experts gathered to discuss it. Even the 3rd Guardian who was in closed-door cultivation came out ahead of time. What's going on? The 3rd Guardian had the appearance of a middle-aged man. After he came out, he looked at the 2nd Guardian with a gloomy expression. Don't be in closed-door cultivation. Something big has happened in the Saint sect, and we need you there immediately, said the 2nd Guardian. Something big has happened? What is it? Asked the 3rd Guardian. The Hall Masters of the 7 Halls have been killed in the Southern Desolation Ancient Town. Not only that, none of the martial artists in the Southern Desolation Ancient Town managed to escape. In fact, even that city was turned into an ice crystal palace. And the culprit called himself Hua Wufeng. He's your disciple. What? Hua Wufeng? Hearing that, the 3rd Guardian was shocked. He hadn't expected such a big thing to happen. However, he quickly shook his head. What a joke. Do you think I don't know Hua Wufeng's strength? He's only an 8th level honorable. He's even weaker than the geniuses of the halls. Not to mention killing the hall masters. Don't be nervous. We think so too. Someone must have impersonated Hua Wufeng. However, we still need you to confirm the details. Alright, let's go. The 3rd Guardian nodded and the 2 of them left quickly. At the same time, the news of the Nether Hall's destruction reached the Black Dragon sect. Instantly, the upper echelons of the Black Dragon sect were shocked again. An entire hall had been destroyed. How was that possible? The Black Dragon sect had already controlled the entire Tianan region. They could be considered an overlord that no one dared to offend. Even the Martial Alliance could only resort to guerrilla warfare. They didn't dare to fight them head-on. However, 8 of their halls had been destroyed. Moreover, they were the last to know about it. It was too shocking. The culprit was only a 20-year-old young man, but his combat strength was terrifying. He was at least at the Guardian's level or even stronger. Who is he? Why haven't I heard of him before? Could he be from the Martial Alliance? Impossible. If the Martial Alliance is so powerful, they would have retaliated long ago. They wouldn't have waited until now. Moreover, the Martial Alliance hasn't done anything. Could it be someone who was lucky enough to obtain the subdivine crystal and absorb the energy within it to become so powerful? The 3rd Guardian said in a deep voice. He was now certain that the culprit wasn't his disciple, Hua Wufeng. Someone had impersonated him. That's possible. Otherwise, how can we explain where this powerhouse came from? Then what should we do? Let's report it. The sect leader will decide what to do. The group of elders and guardians had solemn expressions. However, it didn't take long for another shocking piece of news to spread. There was a mutation in the demon abyss. Challenger-level beasts had appeared. Chapter 1401. However, it wasn't long before another shocking news came. The Devil Abyss had mutated, and a king-level demonic beast had appeared. A king-level demonic beast. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. One had to know that in the entire Tianan region, only their leader was a king-level demonic beast. However, there was now another one. It seemed that something unexpected had happened in the mysterious devil abyss to cause such an anomaly. Quickly report this to the leader. There's no need. The leader has already set off, and the left and right envoys have also followed. The first protector said. What should we do? Should we go too? The third protector asked. For protectors, come with me. The rest of you activate the defensive formation and guard the sect. We can't let anyone take advantage of this. In the past they didn't care at all. They didn't even put the martial alliance in their eyes. However, it was different now. A mysterious youth with extremely strong battle strength had appeared. If they all went out at this time and the other party came in, it would definitely be an unimaginable disaster. However, as long as the formation was activated, it would be fine. This formation was personally set up by their leader. No one below the king level could break it. Soon, the four protectors moved and flew towards Xia country. On the other side, Lin Xian was also moving quickly. Of course, he still didn't know that the devil abyss had mutated. However, something had happened during this time. The dark red dragon's cultivation had recovered to the half-step king level. This was undoubtedly good news for Lin Xian. The dark red dragon's breakthrough to the half-step king level was undoubtedly great news for Lin Xian. This way, their chances of entering the devil abyss had increased by a lot. At this time, the mysterious devil abyss had already undergone earth-shattering changes. The surrounding 10 miles was completely covered in a layer of thick fog. Above this thick fog stood 3 figures. The figure at the front was extremely tall, more than 3 meters tall. He wore a black robe and his cold face was covered in black scales. His eyes were dark green and flickered with a terrifying light. The aura on his body was extremely terrifying. It had reached a peak, causing all the sovereigns to tremble when they saw him. He was the leader of the Black Dragon sect and the only king-level demonic beast in the Tianan region. However, this was no longer the case because another king-level demonic beast had appeared below. Behind him stood 2 middle-aged men, one in a white robe and the other in a green robe. Although their auras were not comparable to that of the Black Dragon Church's sect master, they were much stronger than pinnacle 9th rank exalted experts. The 2 of them were the left and right envoys of the Black Dragon sect. They were existences second only to the Black Dragon sect's leader. At this moment, the left and right envoys stood respectfully behind him. They looked down with furrowed brows. This was because an extremely shocking aura came from below, causing them to feel a sense of trepidation. They knew that this was an aura that only King Tears could emit. When did the King Demonic Beast appear? At this moment, the Black Dragon cult's leader asked in a deep voice. 2 days ago, the Green Flood Dragon left envoy said that because the Nether Hall was destroyed, we received the news late. The carefree envoy of the right also asked, Sect Master, who is it that dares to kill so many of our Hall Masters? The people from the Martial League don't have such strength at all. Could it be that there are also people like the demonic beast below who obtain benefits from this mysterious demonic pit? Humph, no matter who it is, I will make them pay a painful price for daring to touch my people. The Black Dragon cult's leader snorted coldly. His words were filled with intense killing intent. As soon as he said this, the left and right envoys trembled. Countless cracks appeared in the space around them, spreading out in all directions. It was too terrifying. This was the strength of a king tier. Just a cold snort was enough to cause the space to explode. If the Black Dragon cult's leader wanted to deal with a 9th rank exalted expert, he did not even need to lift a finger. He could kill them with just a look. There was no time to care about that brat now. He had to figure out the changes in the demonic pit first. Then the Black Dragon cult's leader's body swayed and quickly descended. The left and right envoys followed closely behind. However, when they were about 3,000 meters above the ground, a low roar suddenly came from the demonic pit below. Then a red figure flew out from the ground quickly. Red light flashed and boundless killing intent surged. An arm that was close to 3,000 meters long rose from the ground and quickly grabbed at the Black Dragon cult's leader and the left and right envoys. This arm was too terrifying. It was like a blood-red river that instantly pierced through the space. Umph. The Black Dragon cult's leader coldly snorted and quickly grabbed forward with his hand, fiercely colliding with the red hand flying out from the ground. Immediately, a violent explosion sounded in the sky. Countless energy ripples spread out in all directions and countless cracks appeared in the space. The ground below also cracked open, forming numerous canyons. The left and right envoys behind him were blown away by this violent energy. They were blown away for 5,000 meters before they could stop. Damn it! What kind of monster is this? It's actually so terrifying. The two were shocked. With their strength as half-step kings, they were actually unable to block the energy ripples? Fortunately, their cult's leader had blocked it. Moreover, it looked like he had blocked it easily. This made them heave a sigh of relief. Their bodies swayed, and the two arrived behind the Black Dragon cult's leader once again. At this time, the Red Hand also rapidly retreated and confronted the Black Dragon cult's leader from afar. Not only that, a low roar came from below from time to time. It seemed like a warning. You two retreat and seal the demonic pit for me. I'll go teach that bastard a lesson. The Black Dragon cult's leader said in a deep voice. Then, his body swayed and turned into a huge black dragon rushing down. The unknown monster below also roared angrily. Once again, it swung its 3,000-meter-long arm and quickly grabbed at the Black Dragon cult's leader. Immediately, a terrifying explosion sounded. Violent energy rippled out, and a storm quickly swept out in all directions. The left and right envoys looked at each other and quickly retreated. The two waved their hands and formed two huge light screens, sealing off the surrounding paths and preventing anyone from entering. Not long after the two of them were done, Lin Xian's spirit boat arrived nearby as well. Although they had not reached the demonic pit, Lin Xian and the others could feel an extremely terrifying energy ripple from afar. Someone's fighting. Lin Xian frowned. This terrifying aura far surpasses ours. Murong Qingqing's expression was also grave. On the other hand, and Hong jumped up and said, D****, this is a battle between kings. Damn it. Two kings. When did two kings appear? Was too shocked. Wasn't there only one Black Dragon cult's leader in the Tianan region? How come there was another one now? Chapter 1402. The dark red divine dragon jumped up. D****, this is a battle between kings. D****, two kings. How is this possible? Since when were there two kings? The dark red divine dragon was shocked. Wasn't there only one king in the Tianan region? Why was there another one now? What? Two kings? Lin Xian, Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan were all stunned. They didn't expect two kings to be fighting. No wonder there were such terrifying energy fluctuations. What's going on? One of the energy fluctuations is very familiar. It should be the Black Dragon Sect's king. But who is fighting with him? Could it be the legendary Martial Alliance? It's not a human. Judging from its aura, it should be a demonic beast. The dark red divine dragon shook its head. I think it should be a new king, but I'm not sure why. But I think it must have something to do with the real subdivinity crystal. Although they had guessed the reason, their expressions didn't look good. There were two kings fighting in front of them and they couldn't enter at all. With their current strength, they couldn't compete with kings. It would be good enough if they could protect themselves. No, the spiritual boat can't go any further. Lin Xian stopped the spiritual boat. Ruffian dragon, come with me. I'll go too. Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan said quickly. Lin Xian didn't refuse and nodded. They were just scouting, so it shouldn't be too dangerous. Then Lin Xian and the others got off the spiritual boat. He had the 3 5-star assassins stay on the boat and let them drive away. There was no other way. Kings were too terrifying. Moreover, there were two of them. If they were found, the Lin family members on the spiritual boat would be in danger. Lin Xian didn't dare to take this risk. Seeing the spiritual boat fly away, Lin Xian was relieved. Then, his eyes flickered as he looked ahead. Hide your auras, Lin Xian said. Then he used the heaven-changing technique to hide his aura and flew forward carefully. Everyone carefully flew toward the demonic abyss. Not long after, they stopped because they saw a light screen in front of them that blocked their path. It seemed that someone had sealed the demonic abyss. Don't worry. It's not a king. We should be able to pass, the dark red divine dragon said quickly. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that. He didn't want to fight the two kings inside. Murong Qingqing. Bingshan. In the next moment, Lin Xian and the others were stunned because an intense battle was taking place in front of them. Black. The black-robed man must be the leader of the Black Dragon religion. The leader of the Black Dragon religion was fighting with 9 blood-red arms. They stretched out from the demonic abyss. Each arm was more than 3,000 meters long. They were like rivers of blood waving in the air. The leader of the Black Dragon religion fought with the 9 arms. The terrifying energy was so vast that it could easily kill a peak stage 9. Lin Xian and the others came back to their senses and carefully floated down. Since the two kings were fighting, it would be convenient for them to search the demonic abyss. However, they were discovered as soon as they moved. Who's there? The leader of the Black Dragon religion snorted. He waved his hand and countless black dragon flames gathered to form a black palm. It grabbed at Lin Xian and the others. The palm carried the power of a king. It made one feel despair. The king demonic beast below also sensed the presence of Lin Xian and the others. It quickly waved its arm and tried to grab them. Not good. Retreat. Lin Xian's expression changed. He did not expect the king demonic beast to be so powerful that it could discover them in an instant. Next, he used the red lotus armor and summoned the starry armor. The two armors surged out and wrapped around his body. Murong Qingqing also covered herself with a layer of starry armor. The four of them turned into streaks of light and retreated quickly. However, the king demonic beast was too terrifying. It caught up with them with a casual attack. Don't hesitate. The dark red divine dragon snorted. Then it swung its tail and launched a sharp attack. Lin Xian also formed a seal and used the 9 infants transformation. The 9 heads roared ferociously and spat out flames, lightning, hailstones, fog and countless other attacks. Luo Bingshan's expression was cold. He held a long saber in his hand and slashed out a shocking saber light. Murong Qingqing took out the true Phoenix Imperial Jade Seal and combined it with her bloodline power to create a purple phoenix. The four of them used their ultimate moves and attacked the king demonic beast. Bang! Terrifying energy exploded out, and an energy storm slammed into the four of them, sending them flying. The dark red divine dragon was still fine. He was already a half-step king. Moreover, his life force was also at the king realm. Therefore he only cried out in pain and did not suffer any injuries. However, Lin Xian's group was not so lucky. Although Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing both had the star battle armor, which could reduce 70% of the damage, and Lin Xian even had the red lotus battle armor, which could reduce 80% of the damage, Murong Qingqing and Lin Xian had the star battle armor, which could reduce 80% of the damage. However, the remaining 20% was not something they could contend with. In an instant, the two of them suffered heavy internal injuries. Luo Bingshan was even more miserable. She did not have starry armor, only a half-step earth armor. Therefore she was the most injured. In fact, she had almost died. Let's go. The dark red divine dragon's body expanded, wrapping around Lin Xian's group and rapidly retreating. Not dead? Behind them, the black dragon hierarch frowned, clearly surprised by this result. It should be known that although it was just a casual attack, he was still a king realm expert. Even venerables could not block such an attack. However, the other party was unharmed. This was indeed beyond his expectations. What made him even more puzzled was that he felt a familiar aura from the other party. However, he could not recall it for the time being. Who the hell are those people? They are clearly only venerables. How could they dodge my attack? The black dragon hierarch's gaze was like lightning as he looked into the distance. However, he found that his vision was blocked and could only see a blur. In the next moment, he coldly snorted and wanted to attack again. However, he was once again entangled by the red monster below, and the two sides engaged in a fierce battle. Therefore, he could only send a voice transmission to the nearby left and right emissaries to capture the other party. He would ask them when he had the time. Chapter 1403. This was because they had not sensed anyone entering. However, the other party had actually entered. This had greatly surprised them. Fortunately, the sect leader was powerful enough to discover the other party. Otherwise, if the other party had secretly obtained the subdivinity crystal, they would have committed a great sin. Their faces were gloomy as they quickly attacked to find the dark red divine dragon and the others. Where do you think you're going? Stay here. Soon, the two discovered Lin Xian and the others and quickly attacked. A beam of green light lit up. Like a green python, it quickly streaked across the sky and charged towards Lin Xian and the others. Rumble. The dark red divine dragon swung its tail and slapped the sky, blocking the green flood dragon's shadow. However, the carefree right emissary also attacked on the other side. A blade light lit up like cold iron, shining brightly in the void. A terrifying and boundless power quickly enveloped Lin Xian and the others. The two emissaries were both half-step kings. At this moment they attacked at the same time. The power was so terrifying that the entire void exploded in an instant. This power was too terrifying. Even a ninth heaven venerable would not be able to resist it. Lin Xian snorted coldly as he crazily activated the great dragon sword soul in his body, erupting with unparalleled fighting strength. He pulled out the Lone Star sword and waved it in the air. Suddenly, a huge sword light fell from the sky as if it was going to cut the sky in half. At the same time, his palms kept forming seals. Qiongqi, Tianpeng, and Di Jiang appeared in the sky and roared in all directions. Lin Xian's black hair fluttered in the wind as he raised his fighting strength to the extreme. Rumble. Terrifying energy exploded, but it blocked the attacks of the two half-step kings. What? How is this possible? The left and right emissaries were shocked. One had to know that they were half-step kings with terrifying strength. Venerable realm martial artists could not compete with them at all. Although there was a half-step king Red Snake on the other side, the other youth was only a venerable realm martial artist. However, he was still able to resist their attacks. It was too unbelievable. While they were in a daze, the dark red divine dragon wrapped around the group and turned into a red light, disappearing into the sky. Damn it! Damn it! When the left and right messengers saw this scene, their faces instantly darkened as they roared continuously. However, they didn't chase after him in the end. On the other side, the dark red divine dragon and the rest flew quickly with Lin Xian and finally returned to the spirit vessel. Luo Bingshan spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was abnormally pale. The attacks from the two kings had caused him to suffer heavy injuries. Murong Qingqing's jade-like face was also deathly pale, and her entire person seemed incomparably dispirited. Damn it, I was too careless. I didn't expect two kings to be so terrifying. Lin Xian's face was gloomy as he suppressed the injuries in his body. He quickly took out some spirit pills and fed them to the two of them. Fortunately, he had many spirit pills and miraculous medicines in his possession that were able to suppress their injuries. Otherwise, if it was anyone else, they would probably not be able to leave alive. After feeding Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan a large amount of elixirs, Lin Xian sent them to a secret room to rest. Then he himself went to a secret room and went into seclusion. This time they had experienced the terror of a king. Although it was only one attack, it was not something they could withstand. Fortunately, they had the cosmic armor. Otherwise, they would have been in danger. No, I have to increase my strength. I have to increase my strength. Lin Xian clenched his fists. Although he was now in the supremacy realm and a peak 9th level supremacy could not contend against him, it was still not enough. Once he encountered a true king, he would not be able to fight back at all. Today was a very good proof. However, he was unwilling. He would not give in. He wanted power. Otherwise, he would not be able to obtain the subdivine crystal at all. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Lin Xian swallowed a few spirit pills and quickly recovered from his injuries. Fortunately, he had many spirit pills in his possession. Moreover, the art of longevity was extremely magical and could greatly increase his recovery speed. Moreover, during this period of time, he had been cultivating the Furious Dragon mantra, causing his qi and blood to be exuberant and his vitality to be extremely strong. Therefore, he recovered very quickly. In just one day, he had recovered from all the injuries on his body. If other supremacies saw this scene, their jaws would definitely drop. One had to know that that was an attack from a king. If it was anyone else, it would probably take them a year and a half to completely recover. As for Lin Xian, it only took him a day to completely recover. After recovering his body, Lin Xian did not immediately come out. Instead, he continued to cultivate and adjusted his condition to the peak. Then he took out the Blood Soul Stone and crazily absorbed it. Not only that, he was also multitasking. While absorbing the power of the Blood Soul Stone, he was also increasing the speed of absorbing the Sea God Ice. There was no other way. He had to cultivate with all his might and break through to the 9th level of the Supremacy Realm as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would not be able to enter the Demon Abyss if he was not strong enough. While Lin Xian was cultivating, the battle in the Demon Abyss was still ongoing. The two kings fought until the sky was dark. But in the end, they realized that neither of them could do anything to the other. The Black Dragon sect leader's face was terrifyingly gloomy. He remembered that half a year ago, there was no such terrifying monster below. But in just half a year, a king-level monster had appeared, and its strength was not weaker than his at all. This made him so angry that he went crazy. With the king-level monster below, he could not enter the Demon Abyss again, let alone obtain the subdivine crystal. Humph! The Black Dragon sect leader snorted coldly and sat cross-legged above the Demon Abyss. As he cultivated and recovered, he thought about how to enter the Demon Abyss below to snatch the subdivine crystal. The king-level monster below did not attack again. Instead, it retracted its 9 arms that were more than 3,000 meters long. However, although it did not attack, it still looked around vigilantly, especially the Black Dragon sect leader on the Sky Palace. The left and right envoys who were wandering around were even more careful. Not only that, the 4 protectors of the Black Dragon sect had also rushed over. They were also careful in their defense. Last time, the enemy had entered without anyone noticing, which made them extremely alarmed. Therefore this time, they were especially careful and absolutely did not allow anyone to come in and disturb them. On the other side, the Dark Red Dragon sect had returned once again. This time, it also brought the Snow-White Little Monkey. The 2 of them secretly sneaked nearby. He wanted to use the power of Little White's treasure bowl to see if he could directly steal the subdivine crystal. Wuji, the Snow-White Little Monkey held the small bowl and kept casting spells. However, it did not succeed this time. This made Little White scratch its ears and cheeks anxiously and stomp its feet. Alas, it really didn't work. The Dark Red Dragon sect also sighed. This result was not too surprising. After all, the demon abyss ahead was enveloped by the king-level domain. And Little White had not entered the king level yet, so it was probably unable to steal anything from the king-level domain. Forget it, let's go back. The Dark Red Dragon sect's figure flashed and brought the Snow-White Little Monkey back. For a time, the demon abyss calmed down, but the atmosphere was extremely heavy. Chapter 1404. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, an extremely powerful aura suddenly erupted from somewhere high up in the sky of Xia country. It was like a volcanic eruption. However, the aura quickly disappeared. This aura was emitted by Lin Xian. In the past 10 days, he had successfully absorbed the energy in the Blood Soul Stone and half of the Sea God's Ice's energy. This allowed his cultivation to break through again and reach the 9th level of the Venerable Realm. After entering the 9th level of the Venerable Realm, Lin Xian's strength had improved greatly in all aspects. Especially his combat strength, it was several times stronger than before. Right now, Venerable Realm martial artists were no longer his match. Even half-step kings might not necessarily be his match. Sensing Lin Xian's breakthrough, everyone came out. Among them, Murong Qingqing had recovered from her injuries after 10 days of recuperation. Luo Bingshan's face was still a little pale, but his life was no longer in danger. You broke through? Murong Qingqing asked. 9th level of the Venerable Realm. Lin Xian nodded and heaved a sigh of relief. He had done his best in the past 10 days. However, the Dark Red Dragon sighed, although I broke through and my strength increased greatly, I still can't defeat a King Realm martial artist. It couldn't be helped. The King Realm and the Venerable Realm were 2 different realms. One was in the sky while the other was on the ground. No matter how amazing a genius was, it was impossible for a Venerable Realm martial artist to fight a King Realm martial artist. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. Ruffian Dragon was right. Once one entered the King Realm, one's life and strength would change. It was not something a Venerable Realm martial artist could fight against. Moreover, a King Realm martial artist had a King Realm, which was extremely terrifying. Unless one had the help of a King Realm martial artist's remnant soul in the remote sky secret realm, it was possible to fight against a King Realm martial artist. It was really impossible under other circumstances. Even if Lin Xian used the Thousand Beast Cauldron, he couldn't do it. Although the Thousand Beast Cauldron was a complete Earth-rank artifact, with Lin Xian's current strength, he couldn't unleash the true power of the Thousand Beast Cauldron. Sigh, I'm so angry. If I still had my strength, how could I let those 2 guys who had just entered the King Realm be so arrogant? I would have sent them flying with a single slap. The Dark Red Divine Dragon was very depressed. One had to know that he could beat up the Black Dragon religious leader before. You guys should rest on the spirit boat. I'll go out with Ruffian Dragon and see if there's any other way. Lin Xian said to Murong Qingqing. Alright, be careful. Don't ever provoke a king again, Murong Qingqing said with concern. Don't worry, I'm not that stupid. Lin Xian smiled. Then he left the spirit boat state with the Dark Red Divine Dragon. When the 2 of them were far away, the Dark Red Dragon asked excitedly, Kid, do you have an idea? I do have an idea, but I don't know if it will work. Lin Xian took a deep breath, his eyes bursting with boundless light. There is a way, but I don't know if it will work. But no matter what, we have to try, Lin Xian said in a low voice. What is it? Hurry up and tell me. The Dark Red Divine Dragon said anxiously. Up until now, he still hadn't thought of a way to deal with a king. Have you forgotten about the king's killing array? Lin Xian said. What? You want to use the king's killing array? Hearing Lin Xian's words, the Dark Red Divine Dragon was shocked. That's a life-saving item. If you use it now, what will you do in the future? We'll talk about the future in the future. At most, we'll leave the Tianan region after we get the subdivinity crystal scripture. Lin Xian's voice was firm. No matter what, he had to get the subdivinity crystal. After all, if he missed this opportunity, he might not get another one in the future. Indeed, the subdivinity crystal was extremely precious. Even the Jianghu continent didn't have it, let alone other places. Perhaps this was his only chance. Therefore, Lin Xian didn't want to give up at all. Damn, if I knew this would happen, I would have set up a few more kings killing arrays. The dark red divine dragon stomped his feet in anger. He didn't expect the situation to be so troublesome. One king's killing array wasn't enough. There's no point in complaining. Moreover, one king's killing array already used up the materials we prepared. Even if you want to make a second one, there won't be any materials left. Lin Xian said. What we need to do now is to determine the location of the subdivinity crystal as much as possible. We must get it in one strike. After all, the king's killing array won't be able to last for long. We have to maximize its effectiveness. The two of them conversed as they flew. Finally, they arrived at the vicinity of the Devil Abyss. There's more people? The dark red divine dragon scanned his soul force and discovered that there were 4 more people. And judging from their auras, they should be the 4 great protectors of the Black Dragon religion. Lin Xian's gaze was piercingly cold. Now that the 8 hall masters were all killed by him, the auras of the 4 people in front of him were even stronger than the 8 hall masters. Clearly, they were the 4 great protectors. He didn't expect that apart from the left and right envoys, there would be another 4 great protectors. It seemed that the Black Dragon religion's leader was determined to obtain the subdivinity crystal. Ruffian Dragon, think of a way to make the 2 kings fight again. Otherwise we won't have a chance. Lin Xian quickly said after observing for a while. Indeed, the 2 kings hadn't moved yet. If they made a move now, it would definitely attract their attention. At that time, it would be difficult for them to escape. Therefore, if they wanted to take advantage of the situation, they had to make the 2 kings fight first. At that time, the 2 kings wouldn't have any extra energy to deal with them. Using the king's killing array to enter the Devil Abyss was the best plan. That's easy. Leave it to me. The dark red divine dragon quickly waved his dragon claws. Although he hadn't fully recovered his strength, it was still easy for him to make the 2 kings fight. A terrifying divine dragon's aura gushed out and transformed into a huge dragon shadow. It quickly rushed down towards the Devil Abyss. Although the attack wasn't powerful enough, judging from the aura, those who didn't know would think that it was an attack from a king. It seemed that the dark red divine dragon really had a way. Sure enough, when the king monster saw the huge dragon shadow, he immediately roared in all directions. That roar was filled with anger. Moreover, he quickly counterattacked. Boom. 9 terrifying arms instantly flew out from the Devil Abyss and grabbed at the sky like a blood-red river. The huge dragon shadow released by the dark red divine dragon had the same aura as the Black Dragon religion's leader. Therefore, the king monster below thought that the Black Dragon religion's leader had attacked again. This made it furious. It naturally knew that the other party had come to steal the subdivinity crystal. However, it wouldn't let the other party succeed no matter what. Therefore, this time it launched a fierce counterattack. The 9 arms waved and tore apart the huge dragon shadow released by the dark red divine dragon. Then it charged towards the Black Dragon religion's leader. Buzz. Chapter 1405. Buzz. The Black Dragon sect leader suddenly opened his eyes. 2 terrifying rays of light shot out from his emerald eyes, shattering the void in front of him. He had naturally sensed the giant dragon's shadow and knew that someone was trying to sow discord between them. Their goal was to make him fight with the king demonic beast below so that they could reap the benefits. Without a doubt, it should be the group of people who had escaped earlier. Instantly he snorted coldly. So what if he fought with the king demonic beast below? Did those people really think that they could enter the demonic abyss below? They are too naive. One had to know that the demonic abyss below had a king domain. Even he did not dare to go down there easily, let alone a few supremacies. Thinking of this, he quickly sent a voice transmission to the left and right messengers and the 4 great protectors around him to find the other party quickly. Meanwhile, he moved quickly and dodged the attack of the 9 arms. Then he stood in the air, his black robe fluttering. His eyes were as sharp as swords, and his body emitted the terrifying aura of a king. Terrifying energy surged, shaking the surroundings. In the next moment he raised his palm and countless black dragon flames gathered to form a black fire dragon. The two kings fought again. The left and right messengers and the four great protectors received the order to quickly search for the other party. At the same time, they set up a formation to completely cover the surroundings. This time they absolutely could not allow anyone to enter. Who is it? Were you hiding there sneakily? Come out. Soon the left and right messengers shouted coldly. Their voices were like thunder, sweeping through all the rooms. Umph. Lin Xian snorted coldly and descended from the sky. This time he did not hide because he wanted to deal with the people in front of him here. Who are you? The left and right messengers and the four great protectors saw the figure in front of them and immediately became vigilant. The person who wants your lives. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He quickly pulled out the Lone Star sword and strode forward. Go kill him. The left green dragon envoy shouted coldly. However, he did not attack. Instead, one of the four great protectors behind him smiled maliciously and walked out quickly. He was the fourth great protector, and his cultivation was at the peak of the ninth heaven realm. Brat, I don't care who you are. Since you dare to come here, then die. The fourth protector grinned maliciously as he raised his palm and slapped out swiftly. Boom. A resplendent light blossomed from his palm. As he waved his hand, the sound of wind and thunder was deafening. This attack was terrifying. Ordinary venerable ones would not be able to resist it at all. However, Lin Xian was different. His battle prowess had already surpassed that of a ninth heaven venerable. Moreover, he had just broken through and his strength had increased greatly again. It could be said that he was invincible in the venerable realm. Lin Xian didn't even try to dodge his opponent's attack. Instead, he roared and raised his fist to meet the attack. Whoosh! Wrapped in a terrifying cold air, this fist ruthlessly collided with the opponent's palm. Suddenly, an extremely terrifying energy burst out, shaking the entire space. Boom! His voice shook the heavens and waves of energy rolled out. They were like ocean waves, reaching 100 zhang high as they spread out in all directions. However, as soon as these air waves had the courage, a layer of blue ice crystals condensed and froze in the void like an ice sculpture. No! The fourth protector also screamed in agony. His palm suddenly exploded, revealing eerie white bones. He roared crazily as his pupils constricted in disbelief. His opponent's cultivation was only at the ninth heaven, which was inferior to his. However, this punch was too terrifying. It directly exploded his palm. D*Eminent, who is he? What kind of power is this? The fourth protector's scalp went numb as he quickly retreated. However, as soon as he moved, countless ice crystals formed on his body as if they were going to freeze him into an ice cube. Get lost. The fourth protector roared angrily as a majestic energy burst out from his body. His entire body was glowing, forming materialized sword and saber radiance that rushed in all directions, trying to shatter the ice on his body. However, no matter how he resisted, it was useless. Soon his body was frozen by the ice. Even the chi and blood in his body were frozen into ice cubes. His entire body turned into an ice sculpture and he instantly stopped breathing. What? How is this possible? Behind him, the three protectors and the left and right messengers were shocked when they saw this scene. They couldn't believe it. What kind of technique was this? How could it kill the fourth protector in an instant? Perhaps even the first protector couldn't do it. Only the left and right messengers could do this. However, the left and right messengers could do it because they were half-step kings, surpassing the peak of the ninth heaven. But why did the other party do it? One had to know that the other party's cultivation was only at the early ninth heaven. In their eyes he was pitifully weak. However, his combat strength made them shudder in fear. The three of you go together. You must capture this brat. The right messenger said coldly. He was very curious as to why the other party had such powerful combat strength. Only by capturing the other party would he be able to find out the secret. Hearing the right messenger's words, the three protectors didn't hesitate and quickly flew out. If it were any other time, the three of them would definitely disdain to deal with a ninth heaven brat together. This was because they didn't care about such an ant. However, they couldn't do it now. The other party's strength was too strong. They had to go all out and take him seriously. The first protector was an old man. He had a pale face and white hair. Although his eyes had seen the vicissitudes of life, they were incomparably sharp. As his eyes moved, there was a boundless murderous aura surrounding him. The second protector was a middle-aged woman. She wore a long white dress and had a pair of hidden swords on her back that flickered with a cold light. The third protector was a middle-aged man. He also wore a black robe. However, under the black robe, one could see that he was wearing a golden armor. Upon receiving the order, The three of them exploded with all their strength in an instant. Terrifying auras spread out in all directions, setting off thousands of waves. Then the three of them stomped their feet and soared up almost at the same time. They turned into lightning and charged toward Lin Xian. What a waste of time. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He was in a hurry and didn't want to be entangled with the other party. Therefore, without any hesitation, he immediately used the void-shattering finger. With a flick of his finger, 3 void-shattering fingers flew out like arrows. Buff, buff, buff. In the next moment, 3 deep sounds rang out. Blood splattered in the air. The 3 protectors' bodies also appeared in the air and stopped in midair. Oh, again. The 3 of them were bleeding from between their eyebrows. Their faces were full of shock. They didn't believe that the other party could instantly kill the 3 of them. Because this wasn't something that a venerable could do. Plop, plop, plop. The 3 of them fell from the sky. What? They're all dead? The left and right messengers widened their eyes in disbelief. This method was too terrifying. Although the other party's cultivation was only at the 9th heaven venerable realm, his battle strength was definitely not inferior to the 2 of them. Chapter 1406. What? They're all dead? The left and right emissaries widened their eyes in disbelief. This method was too terrifying. Although the other party was only a 9th heaven venerable, his battle strength was definitely not inferior to them. Thinking of this, the 2 emissaries' faces turned ugly because their 4 protectors were all dead. This was an unimaginable loss to them. Because their black dragon religion did not have many mysterious crystals left, it would be difficult for them to produce such experts again. Unless their religion master could obtain another piece of subdivine crystal. This was not difficult at first, but now that another king-level monster had appeared in the demonic abyss, it would not be easy to obtain another subdivine crystal. Therefore the 2 emissaries were furious. Kill? With a roar, the 2 emissaries charged toward Lin Xian with murderous intent. Light shone like the sun and he looked like a powerful god of war. 1 each. Hurry up. Lin Xian said to the dark red divine dragon beside him. Piece of cake. The dark red divine dragon had recovered his half-step king cultivation and was very powerful. Coupled with his experience in cultivation technique, dealing with a half-step king was no different from beating a half-step king. Soon, the dark red divine dragon faced the left emissary. As for Lin Xian, he was up against the right envoy. A great battle broke out. The right emissary did not have the fog. He raised his fist and waved it like an ancient demonic beast with the power to tear the heavens and earth apart. The terrifying energy enveloped Lin Xian. A sword light shone like a peerless divine sword and split the opponent's fist aura apart. Then the long sword stabbed out like a dragon. Unfettered palm. The right emissary shouted and waved his palms, forming a huge white vortex. The white vortex was like a combination of countless heavenly blades. It spun rapidly in the air, trying to cut Lin Xian in half. Wherever it passed, countless cracks appeared in the void. Lin Xian shouted coldly. With a serious expression, he quickly activated the star armor and covered his body. Then his long sword trembled. Countless sword lights turned into blazing rainbows and swept in all directions. Peng peng. Lin Xian's sword light was too terrifying. It contained the power of the great dragon sword soul and was extremely sharp. It forced the right emissary to retreat. The right emissary was pushed back, blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. He roared and went into a berserk state. He could not bear to be injured by a 9th heaven venerable. Kill? Lin Xian also let out a loud roar as he charged forward with his sword in hand. He was like the god of slaughter. His entire body was emitting a terrifying sword radiance. Countless gigantic swords were descending from the sky. This scene was too terrifying. The right emissary of freedom was both shocked and furious. He didn't expect the other party to be so powerful. His combat strength still surpassed his own. The carefree right emissary seemed to have gone mad. His entire body was radiating with light, making him look like a peerless beast. You're just a piece of trash who used external force. Do you really think you're invincible? Let me tell you. In front of me you're just an ant. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous. His battle intent was high, and his whole body emitted a powerful battle intent. In the next moment he waved the Lone Star sword in his hand and slashed at his opponent. Lin Xian's aura was too powerful. He was like a killing god. He waved his long sword continuously as if he wanted to destroy the entire sky. The right emissary spat out blood again and continued to chase. A trace of shock appeared in his eyes. Lin Xian's aura was too powerful, far surpassing his own. Run. He was terrified. Lin Xian was right. He had used external force to increase his cultivation. Therefore, his foundation was extremely unstable. His battle strength was also lower than a normal half-step king. Normally, this was nothing because there were not many people in Tianan region who had a higher cultivation than him. But now, facing Lin Xian, all of his weaknesses were exposed. It was like having a powerful strength, but being unable to use it to its fullest extent. This was because this strength was not cultivated by himself. However, Lin Xian was different. Every step of his cultivation was obtained by himself. Moreover, he had experienced hundreds of battles and could be said to be extremely powerful. He also had many kinds of earth-tier martial arts. Once he used them, his strength would exceed his own by more than 10 times. Therefore, the two sides were not on the same level. Let's end this. Lin Xian's voice was cold. His whole body was surrounded by dazzling sword light. The long sword in his hand also erupted with a boundless aura. The long sword pierced out like a heavenly sword. This sword caused the whole world to tremble. The right emissary's expression changed greatly. His face was filled with fear. There was nothing he could do. This sword was too terrifying. It caused him to tremble. He knew that with his own strength he would not be able to dodge this attack. Therefore, at the crucial moment he quickly patted his body 18 times and spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood. Black Dragon's secret art. This was a life-saving technique given to them by the Black Dragon sect's leader. He originally thought that he would not need to use it, but he did not expect to use it now. After spitting out 3 mouthfuls of blood, the right emissary became extremely pale. It was as if he would fall at any time. However, he still gritted his teeth and quickly waved his hand. Suddenly, the 3 clouds of blood mist in front of him condensed and a black flame appeared. It wrapped around the right emissary and quickly rushed into the sky. The long sword slashed down and hit the black flame that was trying to escape. The right emissary screamed inside and blood spurted out again. However, the black flame quickly disappeared into the sky. Lin Xian raised his eyebrows in surprise. He did not expect the right emissary to have such a life-saving technique. Judging from the aura, it seemed to be the aura of the Black Dragon sect's leader. It seemed that it would be troublesome to kill the right emissary. On the other side, the left green dragon emissary was beaten up by the dark red divine dragon. His body was covered in wounds. When he saw the right emissary escaping, he also used the same method to escape. The dark red divine dragon coldly snorted and wanted to give chase. However, it was stopped by Lin Xian. Forget it. It's just 2 pieces of trash. Let them escape. Let's move quickly. Okay, I'll listen to you. The dark red divine dragon nodded and the 2 quickly flew down. The battle seemed to take a long time, but it was actually very short. The Black Dragon sect's leader did not even have time to react. When he finally reacted, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon had already descended to an altitude of 500 meters. Lin Xian floated in the air with a serious expression. At this height, he could clearly feel the terrifying aura of the king's domain below. That aura forced him to use the cosmic armor to protect himself. This is the power of a king's domain. It's too terrifying. Chapter 1407. This is the power of a King Realm expert. It's too terrifying. Lin Xian's eyes flickered and emitted a resplendent light. He swore that he would definitely enter the King Realm and possess this power. At this moment, the King Realm expert and Black Dragon sect's leader who were fighting fiercely noticed the existence of Lin Xian and the other King Realm expert. However, this time, the 2 King Realm experts didn't attack and instead revealed a trace of disdain. Because in their opinion, it was simply a fantasy for these 2 to enter the devil abyss below. Reckless things. With your strength you want to enter the devil abyss below? The Black Dragon sect's leader coldly snorted with disdain. Even he had to be careful and use all his strength to deal with the devil abyss. How could the 2 venerables below enter? He probably didn't even need to make a move as the 2 would be mercilessly killed by the energy within the devil abyss. These 2 fellows actually didn't make a move? Lin Xian and the dark red dragon were stunned for a moment before they became overjoyed. They also understood why the other party didn't make a move. Because in everyone's opinion, the 2 of them didn't have the qualifications to enter the devil abyss. Indeed, under normal circumstances the 2 of them wouldn't be able to enter. Although the dark red dragon was a King Realm expert and Lin Xian had the great dragon sword soul, the 2 of them were still too weak to contend against a King Realm expert. However, the real situation was different. Lin Xian had a King Realm expert's killing formation. Its power wasn't any weaker than a King Realm expert's. Therefore they had a chance to enter the Devil Abyss below. This was something that the Black Dragon sect's leader and the King Realm expert didn't know. Therefore this created an opportunity for Lin Xian and the other King Realm expert. Attack! Lin Xian roared and then used the King Realm expert's killing formation. Instantly, he and the Dark Red Dragon each held a corner of the formation and turned into a gust of wind as they quickly charged down. You really dare to go down? What an idiot. You're courting death. When the Black Dragon sect's leader saw this scene, he sneered with disdain. The other King Realm expert also snorted. However, they were soon stunned because they discovered that the two people below had actually broken through the fog outside the Devil Abyss. How is this possible? The Black Dragon sect's leader's eyelids twitched and his eyes filled with disbelief. After all, that was a king domain. Even he had to be careful when dealing with it, and there was no way anyone below king level could break through it. Not to mention breaking it, he probably couldn't even get close to it. Yet now, two kids at the Exalt realm had actually accomplished it? This was too inconceivable. The unknown king demonic beast also roared. Suddenly, 3 blood-red arms shot down from the sky, trying to stop Lin Xian and Yi Shiwen. The Black Dragon religious leader also coldly snorted. He extended a black dragon-like palm and quickly pressed it downward. However, the two of them were still a step too late. Below, Lin Xian and the Dark Red Dragon wielded the king-killing array. Like a heavenly blade, they quickly broke through the surrounding fog and entered the demon abyss. Boom! The attacks of the King Beast and the Black Dragon religious leader collided in the air and exploded with resplendent light. Countless bursts of energy erupted and swept across the world. However, it did not have any effect. Damn it! The Black Dragon religious leader's expression was incomparably ugly. He did not expect that he would be careless and allow 2 ants to enter below. At the thought of this, he felt like he was going crazy. With a low roar, his body swayed and like a black ghost, he quickly charged downward. However, he was quickly stopped by the other 6 arms. The 6 arms waved like heavenly rivers, forming a powerful defense and blocking the Black Dragon religious leader. You're courting death. Get lost. The Black Dragon religious leader roared. His body erupted with terrifying energy as he quickly counterattacked. Then the 2 kings started fighting again. Below, Lin Xian and the Dark Red Dragon relied on the king-killing array to completely enter the demon abyss. The king-killing array was created by the Dark Red Dragon using countless natural treasures and several months of time. It could be said to be extremely terrifying. It was equivalent to a king domain for a short period of time. As long as the king-killing array was present, Lin Xian and the Dark Red Dragon would definitely be safe. However, the only drawback was that the king-killing array had limited energy and could not exist for long. Therefore, there was not much time left for Lin Xian and the Dark Red Dragon. After entering the demon abyss, Lin Xian quickly spread out his soul power to investigate the surroundings. The Dark Red Dragon was also constantly looking around. The periphery of the demon abyss was the same as before. Countless stone tablets were inserted, and the fog was emitted from these stone tablets. Lin Xian also discovered that the king beast below was not in the demon abyss, but was only in the periphery. In the depths of the demon abyss, the fog was very dense. Soul power could not pass through it all. Therefore, he did not know what was happening inside. However, the two of them controlled the king-killing array to cut through the thorns and thorns. They tore through the thick fog and quickly walked inside. However, at this moment, Lin Xian's body trembled. He felt as if he was being stared at by a huge monster. In the next moment, he suddenly turned around and saw that in the distance, 2 red dots lit up in the fog. They were like red flames. It was a pair of eyes. They were very angry with monstrous anger and terrifying pressure. Even if it was a peak 9th level venerable, under this gaze, his mind would probably shatter and his body would explode and die. Fortunately, Lin Xian was now in the king-killing array. Moreover, he had the great dragon sword soul in his body, which could resist a part of the king-killing array's pressure. Therefore he was safe and sound under this gaze. However, this gaze still made his heart jump. On the side, the Dark Red Dragon's expression was also serious. Damn it, this should be the other king beast. Be careful, don't be entangled by it. Our time is limited. Lin Xian nodded and controlled the king-killing array with all his strength. The two of them quickly moved forward. Behind them, the fiery red eyes saw this scene and were incomparably angry. In the next moment, a low roar came from all directions, shaking the surrounding void and shattering the fog. A red light, like lightning with a crystalline aura, quickly rushed towards Lin Xian and the Dark Red Dragon. Fuck. If I don't show my power, you really think we're easy to bully? The dark red dragon was very unhappy. He controlled the king-killing array and slashed out a sword chi, which collided with the red light behind them. Suddenly the energy exploded and a terrifying wave rushed towards them. Boom 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 boom. Even though they were in the king-killing array, they still felt a huge impact. Ignore it, hurry up and find the subdivinity crystal. Lin Xian gritted his teeth and said. The current situation was very bad. Once the king-killing array's energy was depleted, they would definitely die here. Therefore they had to find the subdivinity crystal quickly. Just like that, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon gritted their teeth and moved forward while enduring the attacks of the king beast behind them. Finally they left the periphery and entered the inner area. There's something. Chapter 1408. Finally they left the outer area and entered the inner area. There's something. As soon as they entered, Lin Xian frowned. His eyes were as sharp as swords as he looked into the distance. Sure enough, he saw a sparkling light spot in front of him. Fuck. Substandard divine crystal. The dark red dragon screamed when he saw the item. He did not expect to find the substandard divine crystal so quickly. Kid, go over. Hurry. Hearing the dark red dragon's words, Lin Xian was also very excited. He did not expect his luck to be so good. He had just entered the demon abyss and found a substandard divine crystal. The two of them controlled the king's killing array and carefully walked forward. On the ground, there was a white crystal the size of a walnut. It was sparkling and translucent. The energy contained in it was many times more powerful than the three mysterious crystals Lin Xian had obtained previously. The comparison was like a firefly in the sun. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. No wonder the dark red dragon said that once he became a king, he would not be interested in the mysterious crystals from before. Good stuff. Lin Xian reached out and picked up the substandard divine crystal on the ground. He was about to put it into the white bone ring. At this moment there was a sudden change. The white bone ring suddenly made a cracking sound as if it could not withstand the substandard divine crystal. Fuck. Lin Xian's expression changed. He quickly took out the substandard divine crystal. Then he showed a pained expression. There was a crack on the white bone ring. Although it was small, it would not last for long. Fortunately, he still had other storage rings in his possession. Thus, he hurriedly transferred everything from the white bone ring out. Fuck, what a waste of a storage ring. Lin Xian was very pained. He had obtained this white bone ring from an ancient expert. The space inside was very big. It could be said that it was the best storage ring that Lin Xian had. He did not expect it to be unable to withstand the substandard divine crystal. Stop shouting. Compared to the substandard divine crystal, this white bone ring is nothing. The dark red dragon was very dissatisfied. I can guarantee that if you dare to take out the substandard divine crystal, you will be able to exchange it for hundreds of storage rings that are better than the white bone ring. Alright, I got it. Lin Xian sighed. But how do we store it? You can't possibly hold it in your hands, right? Why don't I eat it first? The dark red dragon looked at the subdivinity crystal and drooled. Cut the crap. Lin Xian glared at him. Let's talk about this after we get out. Let's see if there are any other subdivinity crystals. Thus the two of them started searching again. Just at that moment, the king monstrous beast that was fighting against the black dragon hierarch suddenly let out a mournful cry. That cry was filled with endless berserk and fury. At the next moment, the 9 terrifying arms moved away from the sky, no longer fighting with the black dragon sect master. Instead they quickly sank into the thick fog below. Clearly the beast king was enraged. In the sky, the black dragon sect's leader also had a gloomy expression. His eyes flickered with cold killing intent. This is the aura of the subdivine crystal. Looks like those 2 ants actually found the subdivine crystal. How lucky. However, the subdivinity crystal will definitely be mine. He snorted coldly, turned into a black bolt of lightning and instantly rushed down. Below, in the depths of the demon abyss, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon were quickly searching. Not sure if they were lucky or not, they actually found another piece not long after. This made the dark red dragon so excited that it almost jumped up. Therefore, it did not care about anything else and directly hugged the subdivine crystal, drooling. We've agreed that each of us will get 1 piece and we'll split it equally. You can't be too greedy. The dark red dragon hugged the subdivine crystal and did not let go. Okay. Here. Lin Xian shook his head helplessly. At the next moment, his expression changed drastically and even revealed a look of shock. The smile on the dark red dragon's face also disappeared, and it became extremely solemn. Damn it, let's go quickly. The two of them did not hesitate. They controlled the King Azura to increase its speed to the maximum and flew out horizontally. As expected, in the next moment the place where they were originally standing suddenly cracked open. A ball of black flames and a red arm appeared there, causing the entire void to explode. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon, who had already retreated far away, saw this scene and their faces darkened. Fortunately, they ran quickly. If they were any slower, they would have been killed. Fuck. The two kings are coming down. Damn it. We've been targeted. Lin Xian's eyes flickered, and it was very gloomy. It should be that the Black Dragon Hierarch and the King Demonic Beast had both felt the power of the Subdivine Crystal, so they stopped fighting and directly targeted them. What should they do? The two kings were simply no match for them. Moreover, if the other party sealed the way back, they could only watch helplessly. At that time, if the energy of the king-killing array was exhausted, they would really be finished. Sure enough, as Lin Xian expected, the two kings were charging towards them. In the fog ahead, a black figure appeared. It was the Black Dragon Hierarch. That tall body was like a primordial demon mountain, standing in front of them, emitting an aura that made everyone tremble incomparably. In another direction, the thick fog rolled rapidly, and a red figure was also faintly discernible. Although he couldn't see clearly, those two cold eyes were clearly visible. They were emitting a biting cold killing intent. Needless to say, that was the King Demonic Beast. His eyes were like a blade and it was very terrifying. Accompanied by a low roar, it was like a peerless demon, causing people's hearts to tremble. These two incomparably terrifying kings, no matter which one it was, could make countless sovereigns kneel down and worship them. However, at this moment both of them were targeting Lin Xian and the Dark Red Dragon. Ants, hand over the Subdivine Crystal or die. The Black Dragon Hierarch's voice was piercingly cold, emitting an endless amount of killing intent. To be honest, he was incomparably furious. He did not expect that in a moment of carelessness, two ants would take advantage of the loophole and obtain the incomparably precious Subdivine Crystal. Fortunately, he had discovered in time. Otherwise, if he had let these two ants leave, his lungs would have exploded from anger. On the other side, the King Demonic Beast also let out an angry roar. Clearly the threat was very obvious. Bah! The two of you still want to snatch the Subdivine Crystal from me? Dream on. The dark red dragon was so angry that it stomped its feet. If it weren't for my unsuitable body, I would have slapped the two of you away long ago. There's no room for you to be arrogant. Lin Xian also snorted coldly, and his expression was incomparably solemn. No matter what, he would not hand over the Subdivine Crystal. Seeing this reaction, the King Demonic Beast let out an angry roar, and its voice was earth-shattering. However, its huge body was like a mountain and it did not take a step forward. The Black Dragon Hierarch's face also darkened, and his gaze became piercingly cold. The other party's attitude infuriated him. Two ants, how dare they behave so atrociously in front of him? They really did not know what death was. Chapter 1409. The Black Dragon sect leader's face darkened, and his gaze became extremely cold. Their attitude infuriated him. How dare these two ants behave so atrociously in front of him? They must be tired of living. However, even though he was furious, there was one thing that shocked him even more. He couldn't figure out how these two venerables had managed to enter this place. After all, even he didn't dare to enter the demonic abyss. What's that? A formation? It's so magical. The Black Dragon religious leader frowned when he saw the king formation around Lin Xian. Based on his intuition, he could naturally sense how terrifying that formation was. No wonder. I was wondering how these two ants could enter this place. It turns out that they're relying on a formation. It seems like this formation won't last for long. I really want to know if you two ants will still dare to be so arrogant when the formation is gone. I'm afraid that I won't even need to do anything. You won't be able to withstand the king domain here. The Black Dragon sect leader sneered. Fuck you. You're just a black dragon. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? It's not like I haven't slapped you away before. The dark red divine dragon was infuriated at being looked down upon. What did you say? The Black Dragon sect leader's face darkened. He felt that the auras of these two people were somewhat familiar, but he didn't know where he had seen them before. Actually, this was normal. After all, 5 years had passed and Lin Xian was no longer the young man he used to be. At this moment he was already majestic and handsome. As for the dark red divine dragon, it had changed from a majestic dragon to a dark red snake. How could the other party recognize it? They probably wouldn't have thought of it. No matter how stubborn you are, don't even think about leaving here alive. On the other side, the king demonic beast roared furiously. The dark red dragon was annoyed and was about to use the king-killing formation to barge in when Lin Xian pulled it back. Ruffian dragon, calm down. I don't think they'll dare to enter this place. Otherwise, with their status and strength, they would have attacked us long ago. Lin Xian was already suspicious. With the value of the subdivinity crystals and their strength, they wouldn't waste time talking to them. For example, the king demonic beast was extremely angry, but its body didn't move at all. It didn't dare to move an inch. Lin Xian guessed that they did not dare to enter the devil abyss. This undoubtedly gave Lin Xian and Yi Zichen an opportunity. At the very least, they didn't have to risk their lives against the two kings. The divine crystals are here this time. If you have the ability, come and take them yourself. Lin Xian was still worried and wanted to test the waters. Brat, don't waste your time. When the killing array around you is gone, I'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. The Black Dragon religious leader's voice was ice-cold. The king demonic beast roared, but it did not move an inch. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian smiled. He knew that his guess was right. The two king tiers didn't dare to take another step forward. If you don't want to take it, you can just wait here. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Then he and the dark red godly mountain dragon controlled the king's killing formation and walked deeper into the forest. Brat, you're courting death. Seeing them leave, the Black Dragon religious leader's face was terrifyingly gloomy. He couldn't understand how two venerable stage ants could enter the demonic abyss and not be affected. One had to know that this demonic abyss not only had a king's domain, but there was also a special energy that prevented kings from entering. Otherwise he would have entered long ago. Why would he waste his breath on them? Not only him but the other king demonic beast couldn't enter either. However, the two people opposite him could. This made him extremely puzzled. So what if they can enter? In the end, they'll still be working for me. The Black Dragon religious leader snorted coldly. A terrifying light flashed in his eyes. Just as well. The two of them went in to help him find the subdivinity crystal. When they came out, he would take them down in one fell swoop. That way, the two of them wouldn't be able to escape. Thinking of this, the cold smile on his face became even more pronounced. On the other side, the huge king demonic beast had the same idea. Its hill-like body directly prostrated itself on the ground, and its two fiery red eyes slowly closed. It was actually taking a nap here. However, although it looked like it was sleeping, every movement in its surroundings didn't escape its soul power's perception. As long as Lin Xian and the Black Dragon religious leader returned, it would definitely launch its fiercest attack. Lad, how are we going to get out? After the two of them were far away, the dark red dragon religious leader asked. Although obtaining the subdivinity crystal was a good thing, their escape route was still sealed. They couldn't leave at all. Moreover, the worst thing was that the king-killing array around them didn't have much energy left. It wouldn't be able to last for long. At that time, the two kings wouldn't even need to attack. The king's domain here would kill them. There's no other way. We can only try our best to find the subdivinity crystal. Ruffian dragon, how many subdivinity crystals do you need to become a king? Lin Xian asked. You want me to make a breakthrough? Ruffian dragon raised his brows when he heard this. Let me warn you. Don't get your hopes up. Although the subdivinity realm is extremely miraculous, the energy of the dragon essence that I lost is far beyond your imagination. Moreover, it requires an extremely large amount of energy to enter the king realm. If there aren't enough subdivinity crystals, I won't be able to reach the king realm. The dark red divine dragon was right. Even kings were divided into different levels. He wasn't like the Black Dragon sect leader and the king demonic beast. Those two had just entered the king realm. Although they were stronger than exalted realm experts, they were much weaker than those ancient kings. Ruffian dragon was one of those powerful kings. Therefore he had lost an extremely large amount of dragon essence. These subdivinity crystals really weren't enough for him. The two of them discussed as they walked quickly in search of other subdivinity crystals. However, the dark red divine dragon's eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. It can't be, right? Why are there so many subdivinity crystals in this demon abyss? In a short while they found another 3 subdivinity crystals. Including the 2 subdivinity crystals from before, they now had 5 subdivinity crystals. Even the dark red divine dragon was shocked by such a large amount. After all, it seemed to have come too easily. Alright, we have 5 subdivinity crystals now. Lin Xian reached into his pocket and wanted to take out the subdivinity crystal from before. However, he was stunned in the next moment. That was because he had grabbed empty air. There was nothing in his bosom. That subdivine crystal had actually disappeared. What? It disappeared? How is this possible? Lin Xian frowned and his face darkened. He discovered that since he had entered this mysterious devil abyss, everything had exceeded his expectations. He had originally thought that he would have to spend a lot of effort to find subdivinity crystals. However, he hadn't expected that such a precious item would be casually thrown around like trash in this devil abyss. They had easily found 5 of them. Chapter 14:10. Lin Xian reached into his chest and wanted to take out the subdivine crystal from before. However, he was stunned the next moment. That was because he had grabbed empty air. There was nothing in his bosom. That subdivine crystal had actually disappeared. What? It disappeared? How is that possible? Lin Xian frowned and his face darkened. He realized that ever since he entered the mysterious demon abyss, everything was out of his expectations. He thought that he would have to spend a lot of effort to find the subdivine crystal. However, he did not expect that such a precious item would be thrown around like trash in the demon abyss. They easily found 5 of them. Just as he was about to take out the subdivine crystal, he realized that it was gone. It's gone? How could it be gone? The dark red divine dragon jumped up. However, when he realized that the subdivine crystal was still with him, he heaved a sigh of relief. Brat, you didn't lose it halfway, did you? The dark red dragon asked. Are you kidding? With our soul power, how could we not know if something dropped? Lin Xian's face darkened. Indeed, not to mention a subdivine crystal, even if it was a strand of hair, with his soul power, he would be able to sense it. However, he did not sense anything and the subdivine crystal was gone? Damn, what the hell? It's broad daylight. How is that possible? The dark red divine dragon was a little scared. He looked around cautiously and whispered. Don't tell me. When I entered the demon abyss, I felt an eerie feeling. Could it really be haunted? What kind of ghost is more powerful than us? It should be at least at the challenger level. Lin Xian shook his head and did not believe it. Don't talk nonsense. If a challenger level ghost really appears, we'll be in trouble. The dark red divine dragon quickly interrupted. Hearing that, Lin Xian took a deep breath and said, how about this? You take 2 of the 3 subdivine crystals and give me 1 of them. Let me try again and see if it will disappear. All right. The dark red dragon god took 2 while Lin Xian placed the last one in the same position as before. Then they continued their journey. This time, Lin Xian was fully alert as he carefully observed the subdivine crystal in his bosom. The dark red divine dragon scanned the surroundings, searching quickly. Not long after, Lin Xian stopped in his tracks, his eyes filled with disbelief. The crimson divine dragon also turned around abruptly. No way, right? Don't tell me he disappeared again. The corner of Lin Xian's mouth twitched slightly. He carefully inspected the area and found that it was really gone. Fuck. It's really haunted. The dark red divine dragon observed its surroundings cautiously, as if it was ready to attack at any moment. On the other hand, Lin Xian's expression was gloomy. Impossible. Even if it's the soul of a king, it's impossible for it to approach us. You should know that we are surrounded by the king's killing formation as well. It's impossible for him to approach us without making a sound. Damn it, what's going on? How could the subdivinity crystal disappear? The 2 of them searched for a long time but found nothing. In the process, they found another 2 subdivinity crystals. This time, Lin Xian took another one and was ready to test it again. Kid, don't mess around. This is a treasure. You wasted it in the blink of an eye. The dark red divine dragon was very pained. This time, Lin Xian held it in his hand directly. After walking for a while, he found that there was no change at all. It seemed that he was paying attention to it. The subdivinity crystal would not disappear. Therefore, he put it in his bosom again. This time he did not walk. Instead, he sat cross-legged on the ground and activated the king's killing formation around him. He believed that even if there was a king's soul, it would not be able to escape from the king's killing formation. The dark red divine dragon was also waiting anxiously because it was also very suspicious. What exactly had happened? It should be known that the subdivinity crystal had only disappeared in Lin Xian's hands, but the subdivinity crystal on its side was still intact. After about 15 minutes, Lin Xian suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze was like a sharp sword that cut through the void. Who is it? Get the hell out here. He swept his gaze around and shouted coldly. However, it was quiet all around. There was not a single soul. There was only a thick fog drifting in the air, like demons and ghosts. Kid, don't be like this. I'm scared. The dark red divine dragon felt uncomfortable all over. It felt as if a pair of eyes were staring at it in the dark. Although it was once a king, the current situation was too strange. Someone could actually avoid the king's killing formation and attack them. That was not a good thing. Fuck. Lin Xian's small face was cold. He had never encountered such a strange thing before. Therefore he slammed his palm to the side. Boom. Instantly, the nearby clouds trembled and even a small hole was torn open. Lin Xian did not care, but the dark red divine dragon was stunned. Its expression was as if it had really seen a ghost. Kid you. The dark red divine dragon stammered and could not say anything. Lin Xian felt a chill run down his spine. He quickly said, "What's wrong? What did you find? Could it be that someone is attacking us?" "No, it's your power. Can't you feel it? Your power has increased." The dark red divine dragon finally said the reason. He was too shocked because Lin Xian's palm had actually broken through the fog. Lin Xian's face was also filled with shock as he recalled the incident. When he had just entered, he had no way of dealing with the surrounding fog. Previously, he had just casually waved his palm to vent the anger in his heart. He did not expect that it would actually break through a trace of the fog. The change in power could be said to be very obvious. However, he had not sensed it before. To be precise, he had not thought in this direction at all. The dark red divine dragon shouted, "Kid, could it be that you absorbed the divine crystal that time? Don't joke around." Lin Xian was also extremely nervous. He clearly remembered that if he had absorbed the divine crystal before becoming a king, then he would never be able to condense a king's domain. Thinking of this, he immediately checked his cultivation power. When he saw that his cultivation had not increased, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, things were not as bad as he had imagined. However, when he felt the power again, his face immediately darkened. It had increased? His power had really increased. And it was an obvious increase. What's going on? Did I really absorb the divine crystal? But that shouldn't be. Lin Xian was extremely puzzled and could not understand. One had to know that he had carefully stored it and had no intention of absorbing the divine crystal at all. Therefore, his longevity arc could not be activated. Now that the divine crystal was gone, his power had increased. Obviously, the power of the divine crystal had transformed into the power in his body. But how did it happen? Chapter 14:11. Both of them had ugly expressions on their faces because they hadn't noticed how the subdivinity crystals had been absorbed. Moreover, Lin Xian wasn't sure if he had absorbed the subdivinity crystals or not. What was going on? Would he still be able to form a king's domain in the future? He was completely baffled by all of this. However, a deep dragon roar suddenly came from within his body. There was a hint of excitement in that roar. Lin Xian's eyelids twitched when he heard the roar. He seemed to have thought of a possibility. Ruffian dragon, do you think it could be the dragon sword soul? After being reminded by Lin Xian, the dark red dragon slapped its head and quickly said, "No, it's the dragon sword soul. How could I have forgotten about it?" Indeed, the dragon sword soul situation was special. It was a bit like the dark red dragon. It had lost its power, but with external power, it could quickly recover. Lin Xian had known this before. However, he hadn't expected that the subdivinity crystals would be effective on the dragon sword soul. Moreover, it seemed that the effect was not small. After understanding the situation, Lin Xian's eyes lit up. He was very excited now. If he could restore the dragon sword soul to the king's domain, he would have unparalleled power. At that time he wouldn't be afraid even if he faced a king. Let's try again. Lin Xian took out 2 more subdivinity crystals for the dragon sword soul to absorb. Sure enough, all the power of the subdivinity crystals flowed into the dragon sword soul. Just these subdivinity crystals allowed the dragon sword soul to reach the middle of the 9th stage. Not enough, still not enough. Lin Xian clenched his fists. He realized that if he wanted the dragon sword soul to complete a breakthrough in quality, these subdivinity crystals were not enough. He needed more subdivinity crystals. This time, the dark red dragon gritted its teeth and quickly activated the king's killing array. The 2 of them flew deeper into the devil abyss. Along the way, the 2 of them picked up 7 or 8 more subdivinity crystals. They left some for the dragon sword soul and let it absorb the rest. They also realized that the deeper they went into the devil abyss, the more subdivinity crystals there were. Then the two of them ran inside with all their might. The fog inside was getting thicker and thicker like a layer of clouds, blocking all senses. Lin Xian and Yi Shiwen both possessed the King's Killing Array. The King's Killing Array was like a sharp knife, directly cutting through the thick fog. Boom. They cut through the thick fog in front of them. Just as they were about to continue forward, they felt as if they had bumped into a huge mountain, causing a deep sound to ring out. That terrifying power directly pushed the two of them back. What's going on? Lin Xian was shocked. He carefully looked ahead. Could it be that there was no way out? Damn it, what's that? So hard. Even the King's Killing Array was repelled. The dark red divine dragon was even more shocked. He was extremely confident in the King Killing Array that he had set up. Along the way he had indeed played a huge role. However, he did not expect that he would be bounced back at this time. He couldn't help but be surprised. The two of them looked at each other, then carefully walked forward. After passing through layers of thick fog, the two of them finally discovered a huge black shadow in front of them. Standing in front of him was a white wall. Could it be that this is really the end? Lin Xian frowned. The dark red divine dragon also walked along the white wall. He realized that after walking for a long distance, he still could not see the end. It was as if there was really an endless wall blocking the way. It's not a wall, it's not a wall. However, the dark red divine dragon also made a new discovery. This was because he realized that it was not a wall but something else. It's not a wall? Then what is it? Lin Xian was shocked. The dark red divine dragon pointed ahead and said, "Look, doesn't this look like a door?" A door? Lin Xian took a closer look and realized that there was indeed the mark of a door on the white wall. However, the door was tightly shut and there was a thick fog around it. Hence, it was impossible to see it at first glance. You don't say this is a house? Lin Xian opened his mouth wide. He realized that there were really strange things happening in this demon abyss. On the other hand, the dark red divine dragon retreated and used some secret technique. A pair of dragon eyes emitted a purple light. Then he shouted in a low voice and looked ahead carefully. Soon he was shocked. This isn't a house. We seem to have found something good. This looks like a spirit boat. Spirit boat. Lin Xian was also surprised. He did not expect there to be a spirit boat in this demon abyss. Are you sure? It should be. It looks like a spirit boat. But why is it here? Kid, if this is an ancient spirit boat, then it's full of treasures. The dark red divine dragon was very excited. This was because he realized that the number of subdivine crystals near the spirit boat was the highest. Therefore he guessed that there was definitely a huge treasure trove inside. Lin Xian was also excited. Originally, the two of them thought that there was no other way because the King's Killing formation could not last for long. However, they did not expect to find this spirit boat. If they could enter and leave with the spirit boat, the two kings would definitely not expect it. Then, they would be able to leave this demon abyss safely. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go in quickly. Lin Xian directly activated the King's Killing formation. An extremely terrifying aura erupted and quickly blasted towards the white door. Boom. A deep sound rang out. Then a huge force came from the door and quickly blasted onto the King's Killing formation. Instantly Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon were blasted back. No way, it's so strong. Lin Xian's eyes widened in disbelief. The dark red divine dragon also took a deep breath. What the fuck is this? Even the King's Killing formation could not be broken? One had to know that the King's Killing formation could compete with a king. In other words, even a king could not open this door. Thinking of this possibility, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon were stunned. What kind of material was this to have such a strong hardness? We're rich, we're definitely rich. Just by looking at the quality, it's definitely an earth-tier treasure. The dark red divine dragon was very excited. Indeed, if it was an ordinary material, it would definitely be destroyed. Lin Xian smiled bitterly. What the fuck? We can only watch. We can't go in at all. He sighed. However, he did not give up. Instead, he quickly circulated his soul power and slowly penetrated it through the small crack on the door. Lin Xian wanted to explore what was inside. If there was some kind of mechanism inside, he could use his soul power to open it. However, Lin Xian discovered that even with his soul power, he was still unable to completely penetrate the door. This made him even more shocked. Ruffian dragon, hurry up and help me. Lin Xian did not want to give up. Therefore, he called Ruffian dragon to help him. The dark red divine dragon's soul power also spread out. The two soul powers fused together and formed a powerful force that quickly penetrated the door. Chapter 14:12. However, Lin Xian discovered that even with his soul power, he was still unable to enter the door completely. This made him even more shocked. "Ruffian Dragon, hurry up and help me." Lin Xian didn't want to give up, so he called out to Ruffian Dragon to help him. The dark red divine dragon's soul power also stretched out. The two soul powers merged together and formed a powerful force that quickly penetrated the door. In the next moment, the two of them were stunned. They were extremely shocked. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon worked together and quickly sensed the situation inside. One had to admit that this spirit boat was even more terrifying than they had imagined. Even with the two of them working together, they could only sense the situation within 10 meters. However, even so, they were still stunned. Shocking. Too shocking. Absolutely shocking. This was because there were subdivinity crystals on the ground in front of them. There were more than 50 subdivinity crystals, far more than what Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon had obtained. One had to know that Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon had risked their lives to obtain more than 10 subdivinity crystals. But now, there were more than 50 subdivinity crystals just in the passage behind the door. This huge gap greatly stimulated them. Damn. This is intolerable. I must go in. The dark red divine dragon was so excited that he stomped his feet. There was no other way. He had been stimulated. Lin Xian's eyes were also burning. He was so excited that he trembled. He wanted to take away all 50 subdivinity crystals on the ground. Now, he was completely capable of absorbing subdivinity crystals. Moreover, the more he absorbed, the more his great dragon sword soul would awaken. His strength would also increase. One day, when his great dragon sword soul reached the king realm, he wouldn't need to fear the black dragon sect leader and the king demonic beasts outside. But now, the only problem was that the two of them could only watch. They couldn't take it out. Even if they could use their soul power to wrap around the subdivinity crystals, they couldn't take them out. I'm not willing to accept this. The dark red divine dragon used his dragon claws to search around. He wanted to see what was behind the door. Later, Lin Xian also personally took action. He didn't want to give up this opportunity. However, when his hand touched the white door, the spirit boat shook violently. Boom 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 boom. In front of them, the white door that could withstand the king-killing formation slowly opened, revealing a pitch-black passage. What's the situation? The crimson dragon Deng's eyes widened in shock. Lin Xian was also shocked. Brat, what did you do? Why is the door open? The dark red divine dragon looked at Lin Xian curiously, because he knew that the door only opened after Lin Xian made his move. Could it be that he encountered some kind of trap? That's why the door opened? Lin Xian was also very puzzled because he didn't do anything special. He only touched the white door like the dark red dragon. Perhaps. The dark red dragon couldn't figure it out either, but it didn't want to think too much about it. Its body turned into a red light and went in with a whoosh. The most important thing now was to take away all the subdivinity crystals inside. Lin Xian was also very excited as he strode into the room. There were a total of 53 subdivinity crystals on the ground. The dark red divine dragon took 25 of them, and Lin Xian took 28. As the subdivinity crystals couldn't be placed in the storage ring this time, the dark red divine dragon used its dragon scales to create a bag on its back to contain more than 20 subdivinity crystals. Lin Xian also used the astral battle armor to create a bag on his back to store all 28 subdivinity crystals. Excited, this was too exciting. They had worked hard and only found a dozen subdivinity crystals. As for the black dragon sect leader and the king demonic beasts outside, they probably only had one or two. Otherwise they wouldn't be so anxious. However, they had obtained more than 50 subdivinity crystals. This was definitely an astronomical number. Boom. At this moment, the white door behind them suddenly closed, and the entire passage was sealed. The dark red divine dragon waved its palm and attacked. After trying for a long time, it realized that it couldn't open the door. However, this time it wasn't anxious. Instead, it said excitedly. Just this passage alone had more than 50 subdivinity crystals. Who knew what else was in this spiritual boat? Brat, why don't we go in and take a look? Okay. Lin Xian nodded. To be honest, he was also very excited. The spiritual boat was too amazing. First, it could block the king-killing array, and now they found so many subdivinity crystals. It could be said that it was extremely mysterious. He also wanted to know what was in this spiritual boat. Although he couldn't see clearly from outside, how big was this spiritual boat? Just from inside, Lin Xian could sense that this spiritual boat was definitely huge. It was at least twice as big as the one in his hand. In front of them was a 50-meter straight passage. About 50 meters away, there was a right-angled corner. This passage was also made of white metal. Lin Xian tried to break it, but the king-killing array couldn't break it at all. It couldn't even leave a scratch on the surface. This made the two of them extremely shocked. The king-killing array was extremely powerful. It could kill Supremacy Realm martial artists as easily as cutting vegetables. Even if it encountered a king, it could contend with him. However, such a powerful killing array couldn't even leave a scratch on the metal wall. One had to admit that this was too amazing. Treasure. This was definitely a treasure. It was at least an earth-rank treasure. The dark red divine dragon was so excited that it drooled. Let's go and take a look. Lin Xian also took a deep breath. A passage was so precious, there must be treasures in the spiritual boat. However, when they reached the end of the east passage before they could enter the right-angled passage, the two of them were stunned again. Because there was a palm print on the white wall in front of them. A palm print was slapped on it. It was incomparably clear, causing the entire wall to slightly cave in. Previously, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon were too excited, so they didn't notice it at all. Now that they were so close, they naturally noticed the palm print. No way, who is it? To be able to leave a palm print on this white metal. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. One had to know that this was a metal that even the king-killing array couldn't leave a mark on. The dark red divine dragon also took a deep breath because he realized that even at his peak state, he probably couldn't leave a mark on this white metal. However, now someone actually did it. One had to admit that the other party's strength was too terrifying. Even if it was a king, it was probably the best kind. Moreover, what was even more shocking was that this palm print was 3 times larger than an ordinary person's palm. Ordinary humans didn't seem to have such a large palm. Chapter 14-13. To be honest, they were truly stunned this time. In fact, they were even more shocked than before. This was because they had discovered a corpse. It was a perfectly intact corpse. The corpse was extremely tall, even taller than the Black Dragon sect leader outside. It was at least 5 to 6 meters tall. Logically speaking, it was impossible for an ordinary human to have such a physique. Only the demon race could have such a physique. However, the corpse in front of them had the face of a human. It did not have any characteristics of a demon race. It was a tall middle-aged man. His skin was bronze and he was wearing ancient clothes. He was not wearing any armor. However, judging from the condition of his muscles, he was definitely stronger than Lin Xian's cosmic armor. There were no injuries on his body, but his eyes were wide open. There was even boundless anger and fear in his eyes. Lin Xian took a closer look at the man's palm and realized that the man's palm matched the palm print on the white wall very well. The dark red divine dragon also noticed this. Then the two men's heads exploded. If they guessed correctly, the palm print on the white wall was left by the middle-aged man in front of them. To be able to leave a palm print on the white wall, this middle-aged man was definitely a king. Moreover, he was an extremely terrifying king. However, such a terrifying king had died. Moreover, he had an extremely terrified expression on his face before he died. It was as if he had encountered something terrifying. When they thought of this, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon felt their scalps go numb. Lin Xian took a deep breath and asked in a deep voice, "Ruffian dragon, do you know what's going on?" "I don't know." The dark red divine dragon shook his head and said, "To be honest, this middle-aged man's cultivation far surpassed mine. Moreover, I'm very surprised. I didn't expect that a place like the Tianan region would have such a secret." The dark red divine dragon was extremely shocked. He did not expect to encounter such a thing. Lin Xian's expression turned grave after hearing this. He knew that the dark red divine dragon had always been arrogant and did not take anyone seriously. However, this time he actually said such a thing. One could imagine that this middle-aged man must have been an extraordinary person when he was alive. Lin Xian and the dark red mystical dragon were both shocked and curious. They carefully controlled the King-grade array formation and circled around the corpse. Truth be told, the middle-aged man had quite a few treasures on him as well. However, the two of them did not dare to take them. Although the middle-aged man was dead, the remnant pressure from his body was too terrifying. They didn't dare to have any ideas. What a terrifying king. Lin Xian was shocked. It wasn't as if he had never seen a king before. King Pillfeather's fragmented soul, the countless king corpses in the remote sky secret realm, and old Taoist Song Song's fragmented soul, but none of them were as impactful as this. This was because the kings from before were either broken souls or piles of bones. None of them were as intact and lifelike as they were now. In fact, the oppressive might on his body did not dissipate by much. Lin Xian knew that this was a true powerhouse. He had already reached the realm where his body would not rot. However, such an expert was actually killed. Moreover, there was no trace of injury at all. Just what kind of person could have such strength? To kill such a king? What was the realm above the king realm? What techniques did such a person have? Lin Xian was very curious. He asked the dark red divine dragon, but the dragon only shook its head and sighed. The two of them walked forward again. Not long after, another round arched door appeared in front of them. This time it was still Lin Xian who placed his hand on it, and the door opened automatically. Lin Xian was already numb to such a strange situation. However, when he opened the door he was shocked. All the hair on his body stood on end. Fortunately, the great dragon sword soul in his body surged out in time to suppress this fear. Beside him, the dark red divine dragon screamed and retreated 100 feet. It couldn't be helped. It was frightened by the scene in front of it. This was because they saw a pair of eyes. As soon as they opened the door, they were greeted by a pair of eyes. They were cold and emotionless, like the eyes of a demon god looking down on the world. The eyes did not move. They must have lost their vitality. However, judging from the energy and pressure it contained, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon could not breathe at all. One look was enough to make one's heart and soul shatter, and one would be lost in it. Lin Xian took a deep breath and activated the great dragon sword soul again. Suddenly, a loud sound came from his body, and a cold feeling surged out, waking Lin Xian up. Lin Xian gritted his teeth and quickly looked away from the eyes. Then he heaved a sigh of relief. Terrifying, too terrifying. That pair of eyes was more terrifying than any king he had ever seen. It was as if everyone was an ant under that pair of eyes, and they could only crawl on the ground. The dark red divine dragon also took a deep breath. Then it carefully came to Lin Xian's side. The two of them controlled their emotions and did not look at that pair of eyes. Then they discovered that there was a huge corpse standing behind the arched gate. The corpse was not much different from a normal person, and it was also wearing ancient clothes. Although it had lost its vitality, its flesh and blood were still intact. If one did not know better, they would have thought that it was a living person. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon took a closer look and found that there were no wounds on the corpse. Just like the previous one, it had died mysteriously. Two top-notch kings who were extremely terrifying had died in such a strange way. It was very suspicious. What kind of power was it? How could it cause such a terrifying result? Carefully walking around the corpse at the door, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon came to the hall. Then the two of them screamed again. That was because there were other corpses in the hall. Previously they were blocked by the one at the door, so they did not see it. Now that they were inside, the situation inside was clear. There were a total of 3 corpses and they were very well preserved. One of them was lying on the ground while the other 2 were still in a state of battle. The 2 of them stood in the middle of the hall. One of them was a middle-aged man with a tall and sturdy figure and a cold face. However, his chest was sunken in and 2 blood-red arms pierced through his body, coming out from the back. The owner of the arms was a person wearing a blood-red robe. It was an old man with a cold face. Even though he was dead, he still exuded a terrifying murderous aura. However, there was a long sword in between his eyebrows that directly pierced through his entire head. Obviously, the 2 of them had perished together. Although the 2 of them had been lost, they could still feel the horror of the battle. There was even a terrifying aura left in the void. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon took a look and felt their scalps go numb, and their hearts beat wildly. This person was too terrifying. Not to mention Lin Xian, even if the dark red divine dragon was at its peak, it would not be able to stop him. Chapter 14:14. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon looked at each other and felt their scalps go numb and their hearts beat wildly. These people were too terrifying. Not to mention Lin Xian, even if the dark red divine dragon was at its peak, it would not be able to stop them. Damn it, who are these people? Why are they here? The dark red divine dragon was too shocked. One must know that even in the Jianghu continent, there were no such talented experts. But now, in this remote Tianan region, there were actually so many mysterious experts. Come to think of it, in the distant ancient times, Tianan region must have some unknown secrets. Sigh. Suddenly, a deep sigh was heard, echoing in the spacious hall. Hearing this, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon jumped up. Damn it, you scared me to death. Who is it? Hurry up and come out. The dark red divine dragon and Lin Xian looked around and felt their hair stand on end. One must know that there were several peerless experts' corpses here. If there was a voice, could it be that the corpses had come to life? If there was really a peerless expert that had come to life, then the two of them were completely finished. Lin Xian was also extremely nervous. His eyes were like lightning as he looked around and said coldly, "Who is it? Don't be sneaky there. Hurry up and come out. Lin Xian, I've been waiting for you for a long time. I didn't expect you to come so late." A leisurely voice sounded again. Fuck. Hearing this voice, Lin Xian was completely terrified. He did not expect that the other party would know his name. "Kid, I'm here for you. It has nothing to do with me." The dark red divine dragon retreated to the side with a whoosh. "Who are you? How do you know my name? Hurry up and come out or don't blame me for being rude." Lin Xian shouted coldly. At the same time, he activated the great dragon sword soul in his body to eliminate the fear in his heart. No matter if the other party was a human or a ghost, he would not surrender. Good, good, good. As expected of the successor of the Way of the Sword. This courage is really rare. Hearing this, Lin Xian's pupils shrank. From the other party's words, he seemed to know that he had the great dragon sword soul. But how was that possible? Only he, the dark red dragon god, and the wine lord knew about this. No one else knew. However, the voice in front of him seemed to know as well. This made Lin Xian extremely shocked. Even the dark red divine dragon jumped up in fright. "Don't worry, I don't have any bad intentions." That voice sounded again, and then a broken sword appeared in the void. It was a broken sword. It looked very simple and unadorned. It was only a third of its normal length. Furthermore, the remaining half of the sword was filled with cracks. At that moment, the voice came from the broken sword. "You're a sword spirit?" Lin Xian breathed a sigh of relief. This was not the first time he had encountered something like this, because the Thousand Beast Cauldron also had an artifact spirit. As long as it wasn't some demon or ghost, everything was fine. "I'm not a sword spirit. To be exact, I'm the weapon spirit of this spirit boat. It's just that I'm currently possessing this broken sword." The voice replied, "This spirit vessel is called Black Earth, you can call me Black Earth." "Hey too? What a lousy name." The dark red divine dragon came to its senses and muttered softly. On the other hand, Lin Xian couldn't wait to ask, "Who are you? Who are these corpses? Also, how do you know my name? How much do you know about the great dragon sword spirit?" Indeed, Lin Xian had too many questions, so he had to clarify these things. "I've said it before. My name is Black Earth and this is Black Earth. I've been waiting for you for 10,000 years. "What? You've been waiting for me for 10,000 years? Lin Xian's eyes widened in disbelief. "What nonsense. I'm only 20 years old. How could you wait for me for 10,000 years? Could it be that you knew I was going to be born 10,000 years ago?" Lin Xian's face was full of disbelief. 10,000 years was simply too shocking. One had to know that a king could only last for 2 to 3,000 years. Who knew if the Tianan region existed 10,000 years ago? "You're wrong. I wasn't waiting for you, but for the successor of the great dragon sword. After 10,000 years, I finally waited for the successor of the great dragon sword." "Lin Xian, you're the one I've been waiting for. The successor of the great dragon sword." Lin Xian's heart skipped a beat. If that was the case, then it was still possible. Because the great dragon sword had existed since ancient times, he wasn't the first to obtain it. "How do you know I have the great dragon sword spirit?" "It's very normal. I can feel the aura of the great dragon sword spirit on your body because my master was also the successor of the great dragon sword." "Your master too?" Lin Xian was even more shocked. He didn't expect to receive this news. "Who is your master? Is he still here? What's the situation with the corpses around here?" Lin Xian continued to ask. "That's my master." The broken sword in the air suddenly emitted a weak light that swept towards the majestic man in the center. "What? He's your master? And he was once the successor of the dragon sword. How was he killed? What's going on?" Lin Xian was also shocked. Beside him, the dark red dragon also asked, "That Hey too, what realm are they in?" To be honest, the dark red dragon was also very shocked. Because the aura emitted by the corpses alone made his hair stand on end, so he wanted to know what realm these people were in. Could it be the legendary realm? "My master is called Yi Gu Cheng, the fourth successor of the dragon sword." The fourth successor of the dragon sword. Lin Xian was shocked. He had never heard of this before. However, he quickly frowned and said, "That's not right. Hasn't the great dragon sword spirit existed since ancient times? Why is it only the 4th generation? Hearing this, the dark red dragon's eyes flickered, while the broken sword He-Tu said in a deep voice. That's right, the great dragon sword spirit has existed since ancient times. As for how many people have it, we don't know. However, ever since the great Emperor Shiman appeared out of nowhere, swept through the 8 barren lands and ruled thousands of races, he became the first successor of the dragon sword. After that, there was the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th generation. Great Emperor Shiman? Who's that? Lin Xian was puzzled because from the other party's words, he could tell that this was definitely an incredible person. The great Emperor Shiman is definitely a peerless figure who suppressed the ancient times. He's an existence that countless people look up to. The dark red divine dragon sighed as well, its eyes filled with deep respect. Obviously, he knew about the great Emperor Shiman. The great Emperor Shiman shocked the ancient times and had countless glory in his life. I'm afraid that it would be difficult for his descendants to reach his height. He-Tu said, now you understand, right? In other words, I'm the 5th generation? Lin Xian's face was serious. Perhaps, but I'm not too sure. After all, 10,000 years have passed. You might be the 5th generation or the 6th generation, but no matter which generation you are, you're still the successor of the great dragon sword. Chapter 14-15. In other words, I'm the 5th generation? Lin Xian's expression was solemn. Perhaps, but I'm not too sure. After all, 10,000 years have passed. You might be the 5th generation or the 6th generation, but no matter which generation you are, you're still the successor of the great dragon sword. Then how did your master die? Why did you wait for me? Lin Xian was puzzled. Although he and Yi Guqing both possessed the great dragon sword soul, they didn't know each other at all. Why did He-Tu wait for him for 10,000 years? My master Yi Guqing was extremely powerful and brilliant. He could be said to be the most dazzling genius of that era. Genius? Isn't that used to describe the younger generation? Lin Xian looked at Yi Guqing in puzzlement. His appearance was already that of a middle-aged man. What do you know? Great emperors can live for 20,000 years, but my master is only 40 years old. He can be said to be very young. He-Tu's voice was excited. Did you know that my master became an invincible king at 40 years old? He could be said to be the most dazzling person of that era. If he was allowed to grow, he could definitely become another great emperor in the future. What? An invincible king at 40 years old? This time, it was the dark red divine dragon's turn to exclaim. To be honest, it was too shocked because it had never seen such a young invincible king. What does invincible king mean? Can you tell me the details? Lin Xian was puzzled. Although he could guess the meaning behind this, he still didn't know the specifics. Looks like your place is too backward. You don't even know the martial Dao realms. He-Tu said slowly. Alright kid, let me give you some knowledge. Let's talk about cultivation first. The martial Dao realms are divided into 9 major realms, starting from the Meridian Condensing Realm, Spirit Sea Realm, Harmonious Spirit Realm, Spirit Transformation Realm, and Spirit Detecting Realm. Above that is the Honorable Realm, King Realm, Saint Realm, and Great Emperor Realm. You're now in the Honorable Realm, so I don't need to explain the previous realms. I'm sure you know. After the Honorable Realm is the King Realm. The King Realm is divided into 9 minor realms. Every time one advances, one's strength would undergo a tremendous change. It isn't just that, the domain would grow stronger and stronger as well. It can be said that every single advancement in the King Realm is more difficult than all the previous realms. Invincible King Realm cultivators are invincible in the King Realm. My master Yi Guqing is an invincible king. Upon hearing this, Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He already knew that above the Venerable One was the King Realm, but he did not expect there to be another realm above the King Realm. That was the Sage Realm, the Great Emperor. And the Great Emperor Shiman mentioned by He-Tu before should be the pinnacle figure of martial Dao. No wonder the dark red divine dragon showed that kind of reverence before. Great Emperor. Lin Xian clenched his fists. He felt as if a new door had opened in front of him. The 9 realms gave Lin Xian a new understanding of martial arts cultivation. Meanwhile, the dark red divine dragon continued. Kid, the King Realm is even more terrifying than you imagine. For example, the Black Dragon sect leader and the King Beast outside are only 1-star kings. I'm afraid that even the kings of the martial sky continent are at most 2-star kings. It's very difficult to advance any further. Those old fellows, the most conservative of them are more than 1,000 years old, and some are even more than 2,000 years old. However, in this lifetime they will probably stay at the 1-star or 2-star king realm. It's impossible for them to advance any further. And invincible kings are existences that even 9-star kings can't contend against. You can imagine how terrifying those people are. Hearing this, Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He knew that the dark red divine dragon was right. The further one went on the path of martial Dao, the harder it was to cultivate. He had felt this when he was in the venerable realm. Not to mention the even more profound king realm. However, he did not expect that the middle-aged man in front of him was actually an invincible king. To be able to be called invincible, one could imagine how terrifying his strength was. However, this made Lin Xian even more puzzled. Since he's already an invincible king, how could he be killed? Because the enemy is even stronger. A2 sighed. Although my master is an invincible existence in the king realm, he is not invincible in the entire path of martial Dao. Above the king realm is the saint realm and the legendary great emperor. The enemy's strength is even more terrifying. Unfortunately, my master is too young. If he was given time with his aptitude, he would be able to become a great emperor. Great emperor. When Lin Xian heard this title again, he asked in puzzlement, what kind of existence is that? The great emperor is the last realm of the 9 great realms. Anyone who becomes a great emperor is an existence that has shocked the ages. Their combat strength is something that you can't imagine. Let me put it this way. The great emperor can directly destroy the Tianan region that you are in with a single slap. What? Destroy the entire Tianan region with a single slap? Lin Xian was shocked and his eyelids twitched. At this moment, the dark red divine dragon continued, not just the Tianan region, even the Jianghu continent can be completely destroyed with a single slap and disappear from this world. So powerful. Lin Xian was dumbfounded. One had to know that the Jianghu continent was very big. Even if the kings fought, they could only destroy some mountains and rivers. The stronger ones could destroy countries. However, he had never heard of a king who could destroy an entire continent with a single slap. But now, the legendary great emperor was able to do it so easily. It had to be said that it was too shocking. The great emperor's strength is incomparably terrifying. His strength is beyond your imagination. When your cultivation deepens, you will understand the reason. He Tu continued, also, don't think that the Tianan region and the Jianghu continent are that big. In the real world they are just islands. What? The Tianan region and the Jianghu continent are islands? Lin Xian was stunned. He felt that his brain wasn't enough. Although he knew that there was an even bigger world outside the Jianghu continent, he didn't expect the gap to be so big. He knew what an island meant. It is indeed an island. However, the people here have never gone further. So everyone thinks that the Jianghu continent is a continent. However, to the people of the real continent, this place is just an island. Our world is called the True Spirit World, and there are a total of 5 large continents in this world. They are the Eastern Wasteland, Western Desert, Southern Ridge, Northern Plains and Central Region. Between these continents, some are adjacent, some are separated by the sea. The Tianan region and the Jianghu continent that you speak of are just 2 small islands near the Eastern Wasteland. Chapter 14:16. Our world is called the True Spirit World, and there are a total of 5 large continents in this world. They are the Eastern Wasteland, Western Desert, Southern Ridge, Northern Plains and Central Region. Some of these continents are adjacent to each other, while some are separated by an ocean. The Tianan region and Sky Marshall continent that you speak of are just 2 small islands near the Eastern Wasteland. That's all. If you compare them in terms of size, it's the difference between an ant and a giant dragon. Lin Xian was speechless and shocked. This news was too shocking. Originally, he thought that the Sky Marshall continent was big enough, and that kings were very powerful existences. But he didn't expect that compared to the real world they were like dust. Of course, this is only the simplest summary. As for the real wonders of the world, you need to personally experience it. Lin Xian also knew that just from this description, he couldn't imagine how vast the land was. However, he believed that one day he would leave this place and step into the real true spirit world. Then why are you waiting for me? Lin Xian asked again. My master only had one wish in his life, and that was to pursue the supreme martial Dao and become a great emperor. However, the path of martial Dao is very dangerous. My master finally met a great enemy, a person even more terrifying than him. In the end, my master Yi Gucheng unfortunately died in battle. However, although he died in battle, his will was not extinguished. So, I followed his dying wish and found the successor of the great dragon sword and nurtured him into a true great emperor. What? You want to nurture him into a great emperor? Don't joke around. The dark red divine dragon jumped up. Brat, I'm not trying to discourage you, but you want to become a king, or even an invincible king. Maybe you'll be lucky and become a saint. But to become a great emperor, that's simply impossible. The dark red divine dragon was very excited. Since ancient times there have only been a few great emperors, and every one of them was a figure that could crush all of eternity. This kind of person, other than being strong, their luck and talent are all the strongest. If one can't reach it, it's impossible to become a great emperor. The dark red divine dragon quickly said. It was clear that the great emperor held a very special position in their hearts. You're right. However, even if there's only a 1 in 10,000 chance, I still have to try. After all, this was Master's wish when he was alive. Is it so difficult to become a great emperor? Lin Xian didn't understand. Although he knew that the great emperor realm was the final realm, he didn't expect it to be so difficult. Judging from the dark red divine dragon's words, this was a height that could not be reached. He Tu said, it's right, it is indeed very difficult. Isn't the great dragon sword spirit powerful? However, out of the 4 masters of the great dragon sword spirit, only the first one managed to become the great emperor Shiman. As for the 2nd generation, the 3rd generation, and even my master, none of them became great emperors. There are even rumors that the successor of the great dragon sword has been cursed. It is impossible for him to become a great emperor. My master wanted to become a great emperor in order to break this curse. What? Even the 2nd and 3rd generations did not succeed. This time Lin Xian was truly shocked. One had to know that the great dragon sword spirit was an extremely powerful offensive saint technique. Although he could only unleash a portion of its power, the effect was still very shocking. It could be said that Lin Xian knew very well how powerful the great dragon sword spirit was. In his opinion, as long as he obtained the great dragon sword spirit, he would definitely be able to become a great emperor. However, he didn't expect that to be the case. You mean that even if your master didn't die, it's impossible for him to become a great emperor? Lin Xian asked. 100%? You're thinking too much. According to my estimation, it can only reach about 10%. He Tu shook his head. 10%? You're saying there's only a 1 in 10 chance? Lin Xian was dumbfounded. Kid, what's with that expression? He Tu was unhappy. Is 1 in 10 very little? Let me tell you, ordinary people can't even reach 1 in 100 million. Even those saints only have 1 in 10,000 chance. My master only has 1 in 10,000, and that's already very heaven-defying. What? Even saints who are more powerful than kings only have 1 in 10,000 chance? Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. He now knew how terrifying it was to become a great emperor. That's natural. From ancient times until now, there have only been a few great emperors. They can all be counted. The dark red divine dragon shook his head and sighed. I've even read in ancient books that there wasn't a single great emperor in 100,000 years. You can imagine how terrifying that was. Got it? Lin Xian nodded and almost bit his tongue. There were already billions of people in the Sky Martial continent, and the true spirit world was probably hundreds of times bigger than the Sky Martial continent. The population was also hundreds of times bigger. However, with so many billions of people, there wasn't a single great emperor in hundreds of thousands of years. One could imagine how terrifying the difficulty of becoming a great emperor was. It could be said that to become a great emperor, other than having extremely powerful strength, one also had to have extremely powerful luck. Only then could one become a great emperor. Lin Xian finally understood why He Tu said that he would nurture him into a great emperor. The dark red divine dragon's performance was like that, because it was simply impossible. However, after the initial shock, Lin Xian clenched his fists. Because now he finally had an ultimate goal in life, and that was to embark on the path of becoming a great emperor. You're really willing to help me? Lin Xian looked at the broken sword and asked. To be honest, after knowing the difficulty of becoming a great emperor, Lin Xian was very curious about how He Tu would nurture him. Furthermore, there was another problem. He wanted to know if he could bring the Black Earth spirit ship away. One had to know that this was an extremely powerful flying tool. Whether it was leaving the Devil Abyss or leaving the Sky Martial continent, he would need the Black Earth spirit ship to go to the real great world. I have cultivation techniques, secret manuals, and some experiences left behind by my master. As long as you're willing, I'll do my best to help you. However, I have a condition, A2 said. To avenge your master, Lin Xian replied with a question. You guessed right. That's what I want. A2's voice was firm. Obviously, he had thought of this condition long ago. Then who's the enemy? I won't tell you now so as to avoid giving you pressure. When you have the qualifications to take revenge, I'll naturally tell you. A2 said slowly. Of course, there's one more thing. You have to swear in front of my master's corpse. Otherwise, I won't help you. All right. Chapter 14:17. Of course, there's one more thing. You have to swear in front of my master's corpse. Otherwise, I won't help you. All right. Lin Xian didn't hesitate. This matter wasn't too bad for him. Moreover, it was good to have an enemy as motivation to move forward. Therefore, Lin Xian didn't hesitate. He immediately walked to Yi Guqing's side and swore solemnly. Don't worry, I'll definitely avenge you. If I go against it, I'll be consigned to eternal damnation. Seeing Lin Xian swear, A2 heaved a sigh of relief and smiled. Great, there's finally hope for revenge. A2 was very happy. Don't worry, I'll do my best to help you. From now on, you're my new master. After A2 finished speaking, he gently tapped the ground with half of his sword. Suddenly, the ground in front of him emitted a gentle light. Then, countless subdivine crystals appeared. The subdivine crystals you were looking for were all released by me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to find the black earth in this devil abyss. So that's how it is. Lin Xian suddenly understood. A2 was secretly controlling everything in order to let him in. Damn, so many subdivine crystals. Seeing the subdivine crystals on the ground, the dark red divine dragon's eyes immediately turned red. He pounced on them. Ha ha, so many subdivine crystals. Mine, it's all mine. The dark red divine dragon went crazy with excitement. Lin Xian also opened his eyes wide in disbelief. The number of subdivine crystals here was many times more than the 50 subdivine crystals he had obtained before. Then he excitedly clenched his fists. With so many subdivine crystals, he believed that he could definitely let the great dragon sword soul enter the king realm. At that time, his combat strength would definitely undergo an earth-shattering change. Even if he encountered the black dragon sect leader and the king demonic beast outside, he wouldn't have any fear. Alright, A2, I have something to ask you. Lin Xian said. Can the black earth still be operated? Although the black earth has been stored for a long time, it hasn't been damaged. It's just that it doesn't have any energy now. Therefore, in the coming days, not only do you have to increase your cultivation, you also have to search for the energy of the black earth. Otherwise, you can forget about leaving the Tiannan region and the Sky Martial continent for the rest of your life. Lin Xian was speechless. He didn't think that there would be a shortage of energy. This was indeed a thorny problem. This was because ordinary spirit boats were unable to cross the endless sea and reach the true great world. Only a genuine Earth-rank flying ship like this could pass through the endless sea. That was why so few people were able to leave the Martial Heaven continent. Alright, looks like I can only increase my strength and leave this place. I'll make plans for the raw materials in the future. However, Lin Xian did not forget to send a message to Murong Qingqing and Ruo Bingshan, telling them not to worry. Otherwise, if the other party were to rush into the demon abyss and encounter danger, that would be bad. Black Earth was directly responsible for sending messages. Apart from not being able to fly, the Black Earth was still able to operate other things. For example, it wasn't difficult for it to activate a few formations and send messages out. This time, Lin Xian did it in time because Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan, who were far away, were indeed anxious. Not only them, Old Master Lin and the others were even more anxious. That was because they realized that Lin Xian had left for a long time and had not returned. Therefore, Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan wanted to go to the demon abyss to investigate. However, before they could move, they heard Lin Xian's voice transmission. After knowing that Lin Xian was safe, the two of them did not move. Otherwise, if they were to rashly go, they might really bump into the Black Dragon Sect's leader or a king demonic beast. If that was the case, the two of them would definitely be in danger. With nothing to worry about, Lin Xian began to cultivate here. At the side, the dark red dragon was also rapidly absorbing the subdivine crystal to recover its strength. Even the snow-white monkey came out and hugged a subdivine crystal to absorb it. He didn't know if Little White could absorb the energy inside, but it seemed like it wouldn't be a problem. No matter what, he had to enter the king realm. Because according to He 2, only by entering the king realm would one be able to survive in the large world. Below the king realm, one was an ant-like existence no matter where one went. Moreover, Lin Xian was even more special. If others found out that he possessed an offensive saint technique like the Dragon Sword Soul, it would definitely cause countless people to madly hunt him down. Therefore, it was impossible to not have strength. Just like that, Lin Xian and the Dark Red Dragon started to cultivate madly. On the other hand, the Black Dragon sect's leader and the King Demonic Beast outside grew more and more impatient. Because according to their own estimates, the killing formation around them would not be able to hold on for long at all for two ants. Therefore, in order to save their lives, they would definitely retreat. Moreover, they had blocked their path of retreat and could just wait for them to come. However, after such a long time, they had not seen a single person at all, and this caused them to feel more and more uneasy. Could it be that those two ants died inside because they were too greedy? When he thought of this possibility, the Black Dragon sect's leader's face became terrifyingly gloomy. 1 day, 2 days, 10 days, 20 days, 1 month. After a month had passed, the Black Dragon sect's leader was in complete despair. He knew that with the strength of those two ants, it was impossible for them to survive for such a long time. Presumably they had died inside. Thinking of this, he sighed. It was a pity that he did not obtain a single divine crystal after so many attempts. Moreover, this devil abyss was such a dangerous place that he could not take the risk to enter. Moreover, there was a king demonic beast beside him that was eyeing him covetously. Therefore, with a cold snort, the Black Dragon sect's leader soared into the sky and left. The king demonic beast let out 2 roars of dissatisfaction and quickly retreated. The entire devil abyss fell into silence once again, and only the thick clouds and mist drifted here. Lin Xian was still cultivating, and Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan were also waiting patiently outside because they had received Lin Xian's voice transmission and knew that he was safe now. The only thing they could do was wait for Lin Xian to return. During this time in the Heavenly South region. Although the Black Dragon sect had suffered heavy losses, as long as the Black Dragon sect's leader was around, the Martial Alliance and others could not overthrow the Black Dragon sect. Therefore, the entire Heavenly South region was still under the Black Dragon sect's rule. As for the distant Jianghu continent, the situation was also changing secretly. The palace master of the Palace of Gods of War, Lin Zhan, was still in seclusion and had not come out. After the Duan clan suffered a heavy blow, they also became quiet. However, it was obvious that they were waiting for the Duan clan's old ancestor to come out of seclusion, and then it would be time for them to counterattack. In a primitive forest far away from the cities in the Jianghu continent, there was a huge canyon that was very deep, at least 10,000 meters. At the bottom of the canyon there was a huge body. It was a strange bird that was completely black, and there were countless black flames burning on its feathers. Chapter 14:18. Jianghu continent, in a primeval forest far away from the cities. There was a huge canyon here. It was very deep, at least 10,000 meters. At the bottom of the canyon there was a huge body. It was a strange bird. Its body was pure black, and there were countless black flames burning on its feathers. These flames were many times stronger than the flames of the Black Dragon leader. If Lin Xian was here he would definitely recognize it. This strange bird was naturally the Heavenly Netherbird. Previously, after the remote sky secret realm ended, the Heavenly Netherbird had followed everyone out and caused a ruckus. However, due to the astral chains on its body, its strength was limited. Coupled with the joint attack of the kings, the Heavenly Netherbird had suffered a great loss. Therefore, the Heavenly Netherbird did not appear after that. Furthermore, Lin Xian and the others did not find any traces of it. They did not expect it to be in this uninhabited canyon. At this moment, the Heavenly Netherbird was sitting there. The 9 underworld black flames were burning on its body. There were still 4 astral chains on its body. However, one of them was very dim, as if it would break at any moment. Sure enough, under the burning of the 9 nether black flames, one of the chains of stars cracked and broke into 2. The blue chains fell from the Heavenly Netherbird's body. Feeling this change, the Heavenly Netherbird suddenly opened its eyes. Its gaze was like a black divine spear, piercing through the void. A human-like smile appeared on the bird's face. Ha, I finally succeeded. No matter how strong these astral chains are, they can't block my 9 underworld black flames. Just you wait. When I burn all 4 astral chains, it will be your doomsday. Damn brat, I won't forgive you. And this entire continent will become hell under my flames. The heavenly netherbird laughed crazily like a demon. Then it closed its eyes again and burned the other 3 astral chains with all its strength. No one knew about the heavenly netherbird, but one could imagine that once it broke free from the shackles of the astral chains, it would definitely be a demon. Perhaps the entire Jianghu continent would be plunged into a catastrophe. However, Lin Xian did not know any of this. Ever since he went into seclusion, he had not woken up. The great dragon sword soul in his body was like a bottomless pit, crazily absorbing the energy of the subgod crystals. During this time, the dark red dragon and the snow-white monkey woke up a few times, but Lin Xian still sat cross-legged with his eyes closed, cultivating. This one building lasted for a year. A year's time was not long, but it was not short. However, this year Murong Qingqing and Ruo Bingshan were extremely worried. Even though the 2 of them had received Lin Xian's voice transmission earlier and knew that the other party was safe, they still didn't know what to do. But they did not expect Lin's and Lin Xian's. At first it was 1 month, then 2 months. By the 3rd month, Murong Qingqing could no longer sit still. Lin Xian, Lin Xian, and Xian. Perhaps something had happened on the other side, so he used the transportation formation on the spirit boat to send a voice transmission to Lin Xian. But she never received a response. This made Murong Qingqing very anxious. She knew that Lin Xian would definitely respond if he heard her voice. But there was no response. This confirmed her suspicions. However, Murong Qingqing did not believe that something had happened to Lin Xian, so she waited for another month. But this time she could not wait any longer. She could only go to the demon abyss. Although she was a young prodigy, the demon abyss had a king's domain. She could not enter without becoming a king. Unless she was like Lin Xian and had a king's killing formation. But there was only one king's killing formation. Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan could not enter at all. They could only wait outside anxiously. In the following days, Murong Qingqing sent a voice transmission to Lin Xian every 10 days, but she never received a response. Not only that, she insisted on going to the demon abyss every other month. But there was still no response. Just like that, it was the 9th month. This time she was finally discovered by the Black Dragon sect. But fortunately, it was not the Black Dragon sect's leader, but other Black Dragon sect cultivators. These people were nothing to Murong Qingqing, so she left easily. However, this matter attracted the Black Dragon sect's attention. Later, more and more Black Dragon sect experts came to patrol the vicinity of the demon abyss. They even wanted to capture Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan. In the following days, the 2 of them did not dare to go out casually. After all, if they encountered the Black Dragon sect's leader, they would not be able to resist at all. In the spirit boat, not only were the 2 women anxious, but the Lin family members were even more anxious. Especially Old Master Lin and Second Uncle Lin, who were extremely anxious. Even Old Master Lin wanted to go out to search, but he was stopped by Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan. Going out now was tantamount to suicide. However, although they were extremely careful, they were still discovered under the Black Dragon sect's crazy search. Later on, the left and right envoys personally led countless experts to hunt them down. Everyone listen up. Seal that spirit boat. No need to do anything. Wait for the sect leader to come and deal with them. Hee little beauty, just you wait. When the time comes, you will suffer a fate worse than death. The left and right envoys' expressions were ferocious. Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan snorted coldly, but the Lin family members were extremely nervous. Don't worry, they're just a bunch of ants. As long as the Black Dragon sect's leader doesn't come personally, we will not be in danger. Murong Qingqing comforted Old Master Lin and the rest. Luo Bingshan's figure flashed as he rushed out of the spirit boat. Trying to run? Stop her. The right envoy shouted coldly. He waved his hand and dozens of figures rushed forward. These people had ferocious expressions and powerful auras. They were all 9th level honored realm experts. It seemed like they were also experts of the Black Dragon sect. At this moment, more than 10 of them moved together. Even a half-step king would have a headache. Therefore, in these people's eyes, dealing with a little beauty was more than enough. Hee little beauty, hurry up and surrender. Ha! I will take good care of you. The group of people laughed wildly, not taking it to heart. Luo Bingshan snorted coldly. In this year's time, her injuries had already healed, and her strength had already reached its peak. Facing these 9th level honored realm experts, her gaze was cold as she quickly pulled out the long saber at her waist. A saber light slashed out like water, abnormally cold. This saber was like a heavenly river, emitting a powerful killing intent as if it wanted to tear the sky apart. What? Impossible. Not good. Retreat. The Black Dragon sect's martial artists' expressions changed instantly. Their expressions were filled with fear. They did not expect a little beauty to be so terrifying. Chapter 14:19. These people were too terrified. They did not expect a young woman to have such a terrifying blade light. Therefore they could only retreat as fast as they could. At the same time, they activated their battle armors in an attempt to escape. However, this blade was too terrifying. They had no chance of resisting at all. Therefore, in the next moment, dozens of heads flew into the air as blood gushed out like a river. What? They're all dead. The surrounding Black Dragon cult martial artists were shocked. They could not believe it. Even the left and right envoys were shocked. They did not expect the opponent's strength to be so terrifying. She did not seem any weaker than them. Damn it! How is this possible? Who are they? The left and right envoys' faces were gloomy. The strength of the woman and snake that appeared before was already beyond their imagination. They did not expect another woman to appear, and her strength was not any weaker than them. Where did these people come from? It should be known that in the South Heaven region, other than the two of them who were half-step kings, no one else could fight against them. But now several of them had appeared at once. They could not accept this. Luo Bingshan killed dozens of 9th-level sovereigns with a single blade. Then his eyes flashed like lightning as his entire body emitted a terrifying aura. Holding the long blade in his hand, he quickly slashed out several blade lights toward the left envoys. The surrounding Black Dragon cult disciples were scared and did not dare to stop him. However, the left envoys roared as his hair stood on end. He was too angry. Although the opponent was a half-step king, she was not a true half-step king. However, the opponent still dared to charge at him. It was as if she did not put him in her eyes at all. Therefore, in the next moment, he roared and exploded with an unparalleled strength. He decided to kill the woman in front of him personally to intimidate the others on the spirit boat. Immediately, a terrifying wave of energy surged out of the left envoy's body and spread out in all directions. This left envoys was not a human. Their true form was a green flood dragon. At this moment they used their full strength. Their dark green hair danced in the wind like countless little green snakes spiraling in the air. Their eyes were dark green and emitted a cold and gloomy light. This aura made all the surrounding Black Dragon cult disciples tremble as they involuntarily retreated. At the same time they cheered excitedly. With the left envoy's help they would definitely win. Little girl, go to hell. The green dragon left emissary shouted and emitted a green light all over his body. He stretched out his hand and it turned into a huge green python that covered the sky and rushed forward. Rumble. The terrifying green python tore through the void, creating a terrifying crack in the air. Accompanied by the sound of thunder, it rapidly bombarded the surroundings. That momentum was exceptionally terrifying. However, Luo Bingshan coldly snorted and disappeared like a ghost. Boom. In the next moment, the void where she was originally standing was shattered. Countless cracks and black holes appeared, but Luo Bingshan's figure had long since disappeared. What? He dodged it? The surrounding Black Dragon cult cultivators were shocked. As for the left Azure Dragon envoy, his expression was gloomy. He had not expected the other party's speed to be so fast, to be able to dodge his attack. So what if he managed to unleash one more attack? I don't believe that you can dodge all my attacks. The left Green Dragon envoy sneered. He wanted to crush his opponent with his powerful aura. Just as this thought arose in his mind, suddenly his expression changed drastically and even became ferocious. There was also a tinge of fear in his eyes. That was because an extremely sharp aura suddenly came from behind him, as if it was going to split him in half. Damn it, get lost. The left Green Dragon envoy roared and an unparalleled power exploded from his body. At the same time, countless green lights surrounded his body and formed a green snake armor. He was too shocked. He had not expected the other party to circle behind him in an instant and launch a fatal attack. Is the other party an assassin? His heart pounded wildly because he had not sensed the other party's aura at all. He also did not know that the other party had appeared behind him. It was too late to run now because the blade was too fast. It was like a bolt of lightning that enveloped him in an instant. Therefore he could only use all his strength to take the blade head-on. Boom. An earth-shattering sound was heard as the blade slashed the left Green Dragon envoy's body, emitting a dazzling light. Unparalleled power spread out in all directions. Block it. The left green dragon envoy's face was ferocious and even python scales appeared on his body. Countless green snakes circled around his body, and his armor shone with an unparalleled light, like a green sun. However, the blade was too terrifying. It was like a heavenly blade that tore through all obstacles and even broke the left green dragon envoy's armor. In the next moment, the terrifying blade radiance slashed the left green dragon envoy's body. Blood spurted out and his bones broke. A miserable cry was heard. Ah! The left green dragon envoy screamed in a ferocious voice. Hearing this voice, the surrounding martial artists felt their scalps go numb. They had not expected the powerful and terrifying left green dragon envoy to be defeated. Moreover, he was defeated in one move. Who was this woman? How could she be so terrifying? Everyone looked at Luo Bingshan with fear in their eyes. The left green dragon envoy used all his strength and retreated quickly. Blood splattered everywhere. In the end, he retreated a few hundred feet and stopped. Drip, drip. Blood was still flowing. He was in a terrible state. His entire body was almost split in half and he had suffered extremely serious injuries. Seeing this scene, everyone swallowed their saliva and could not believe their eyes. That was the left green dragon envoy. He was the supreme existence of the Black Dragon sect. In the entire Tianan region, no one could suppress him except for the Black Dragon sect leader. However, the left green dragon envoy had suffered such serious injuries and the one who attacked was a young woman. She had only used one blade to cause such injuries. This was too terrifying. The left green dragon envoy's face was also very gloomy. He did not expect his companion to be defeated in an instant and suffer such serious injuries. Damn it! He roared angrily. His body also exploded with a dazzling white light. He was like a god of war. He was extremely powerful. He had to make a move now and suppress his opponent. Otherwise, with her ghostly speed, he would be in danger if she tried to assassinate him. Look, the left green dragon envoy is making his move. The surrounding martial artists of the Black Dragon sect were extremely nervous. They had placed all their hopes on the left green dragon envoy. If the left green dragon envoy was defeated, the Black Dragon sect would be completely finished. Left green dragon palm. The left green dragon envoy made the first move. His entire body supported a powerful force and the surrounding wind blew. He would not give his opponent a chance to sneak an attack. Chapter 1420. Free and unfettered palm. The right emissary made the first move. His entire body was filled with a powerful force, and a gale swept through the surroundings. He would not give his opponent a chance to launch a sneak attack. At the same time, he stretched out his palm and slapped forward. A huge light palm flew out from his palm and quickly pressed forward. The resplendent light illuminated the surroundings. That palm of light contained an incomparable amount of energy. This palm was like a white mountain that pushed across the sky. The entire sky shook as if it was about to collapse. Humph! Luo Bingshan snorted coldly. Although the opponent was a half-step king, she did not care about him at all. 8 blades of the ocean abyss. This time Luo Bingshan did not dodge. Instead she faced it head-on. The 8 blades of the ocean abyss was an earth-class cultivation technique. It had been used by the Duan clan's disciple in the remote sky secret realm. Now it had reappeared in the hands of the Luo Bingshan. This earth-class cultivation technique in the hands of Luo Bingshan was several times stronger than in the hands of Yanfeng. That terrifying saber light transformed into one after another surging Milky Way, constantly roaring in the air. As the blade slashed out, a resplendent light blossomed in the void. The terrifying blade light illuminated the surroundings and slashed forward. Both of them were using their ultimate techniques. It could be said that their momentum was terrifying. However, Luo Bingshan was using a true earth-class cultivation technique. As for the right emissary, no matter how powerful he was, he only had a half-step earth-class cultivation technique. The two of them could not be mentioned in the same breath. Therefore, as soon as they clashed, the huge light palm of the right emissary was sliced apart and turned into countless spiritual chi that dissipated in the air. Impossible. Seeing his ultimate technique being sliced apart so easily, the right emissary screamed. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Impossible. How is this possible? He clenched his teeth. At the same time, his palms changed rapidly. He clenched both hands into fists and punched out quickly. Divine Azura Fist. The terrifying fist blossomed with blood-red light. The right emissary's eyes shone with a terrifying light. boundless killing intent soared from his body. At this moment he used another ultimate technique, the Divine Azura Fist. Apart from being terrifying, this fist technique also carried a dense baleful aura. It dyed the entire sky blood red. Those fist shadows transformed into red flood dragons, rushing out at high speed. For a time the sky once again fell into chaos. The eyes of the surrounding black dragon cult disciples were also bloodshot. Each and every one of them looked ferocious and wanted nothing more than to pounce forward and fight. However, they were simply unable to approach. Merely the aftermath of the energy was enough to blow them away. Luo Bingshan's expression was ice cold. With a light snort, the long saber in his hand slashed out again. 8 blades of the ocean abyss, the second blade, white shark slash. The long saber slashed out and countless saber lights gathered to form a huge white shark. This great white shark's entire body was radiating light. Its entire body was formed from saber radiance. It was extremely terrifying. It carried with it an astonishingly sharp aura as it flew rapidly in the air. Instantly, the countless baleful auras in the sky were sliced into countless pieces by the saber light and fell rapidly. The 2 blood-colored divine fists were also swallowed by the white shark formed by the saber light. What? It broke again. This is impossible. The carefree right emissary felt his scalp go numb in disbelief. Although he knew that his opponent was powerful and had the strength of a half-step king, it was still impossible for him to break through his attack so easily. It should be known that he was also a half-step king. No matter what, both sides would have to exchange several hundred moves before the outcome would be decided. However, his opponent's strength was too powerful. Moreover, his attack power was extremely sharp. Victory and defeat were often decided in one move. How was this a battle between 2 people of the same realm? This was simply a one-sided battle. The carefree right emissary seemed to have gone mad and wanted to attack again. However, opposite him, Luo Bingshan coldly said, "You don't have the chance." 8 blades of the ocean abyss, the third blade. The long saber flickered, and this time, it transformed into a huge whale that roared in the air. That huge body filled the entire sky. The terrifying power made everyone's heart tremble. Even some of the weaker ones directly knelt down. "No!" The carefree right emissary crazily shouted. However, that huge blue whale directly floated down and swallowed him. Terrifying energy exploded, completely submerging the entire void. Bang! Bang! The carefree right emissary screamed again and again as he was blasted away by this energy. Many places on his body were pierced, and terrifying bloody holes appeared one after another. Blood flowed out continuously and his bones were broken. It could be said that he had suffered severe injuries. It seemed that he would not live for long. What? The carefree right emissary was also defeated? How is this possible? Everyone was extremely shocked and could not believe it. The left and right emissaries were existences that were second only to the sect leader in the Black Dragon sect. They were experts that were second only to the sect leader. However, at this moment they were actually defeated and easily defeated. Moreover, the opponent was only a young and beautiful woman. They probably would not have imagined such a scene even in their dreams. Luo Bingshan coldly snorted and glanced around. Immediately, those disciples of the Black Dragon sect were so frightened that they all sat on the ground, not daring to resist. Luo Bingshan snorted again and put away his long saber. He turned around and walked towards the spirit boat. She had no interest in the surrounding disciples because they were not worthy of her attack. Seeing that she was about to leave, none of the disciples of the Black Dragon sect dared to stop her. They only hoped that this murderous star in front of them would leave quickly so that they could live. However, at this moment something strange happened. A black light suddenly lit up the sky. It was like a black lightning bolt that instantly rushed towards Luo Bingshan. Wherever it passed, the entire sky seemed to be split in half. Terrifying airwaves rolled out in all directions. The speed was so fast that it produced a muffled sound that made one's scalp tingle. "You're courting death." Luo Bingshan glared with anger. She did not expect that the other party would dare to attack. With a cold snort, she turned around and slashed with her saber. Boom! The air exploded, producing a huge amount of energy that swept out in all directions. However, the result was beyond everyone's expectations. Previously, Luo Bingshan was extremely powerful and defeated the left and right envoys with a few simple moves. But now, she was actually blasted away. That's right, it was Luo Bingshan who was sent flying in this collision. Everyone was shocked and in disbelief. Boom boom boom. Luo Bingshan only stopped after retreating for a few thousand meters. There was even a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth. Shock appeared in her beautiful eyes. She did not expect that someone could send her flying. In the next moment, Luo Bingshan's face turned cold as she looked ahead. Then she was stunned. There was even a trace of shock in her eyes. The person who sent her flying was actually the left Green Dragon envoy. It was the person who was almost split in half by her saber. What? How is this possible? With such a serious injury, he can't even exert much combat strength? But now the other party was full of energy. His aura was even more powerful than before. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.